Welcome everyone to Comics from the Multiverse episode 305. I am Peter and joining me, thankfully, returning is Matt.
Hey, what's up?
And Connor's here too.
Yeah, I figured I'd show up.
This is a DC Comics podcast. We get together every week. We talk about the DC Comics we read. And coming up on this week's show, we have Superman Son of Kal-El, issue 11, Wonder Woman 787, Batgirls issue 6, Batman Urban Legends issue 50. Well, I'm assuming Matt read that anyway. I never actually asked him.
I'm only going to talk about the two stories. I'm not going to do the full bore this time. I learned my lesson.
Okay. We got Naomi season 2 issue 3, Jurassic League issue 1, and the Sandman Universe Nightmare Country issue 2. So those are all the books coming up.
Just out of interest, Pete, did you catch up on that?
No.
Okay, my shop didn't have that, and I did not realize it came out, so I did not read that. Yeah, it's just Connor.
Yeah, you're missing out.
I will tell my shop that.
Sort it out.
Yeah.
That's got to go back down with a wrench.
Where the hell is my copy?
Yeah. To be fair, they had a very big free comic book day that they're still recovering from. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go back down with a wrench in his hand, just so that as he's yelling, he's been very threatening, by holding a wrench.
Yeah. Yes.
Mm-hmm. I believe it.
Y'all need plumbing work?
You don't have to actually say you're going to hit anyone. It's the implication that you're angry and you're holding a wrench. So they're worried about what you're going to do with the wrench.
Yeah.
And if anyone accuses you of that, you just say, yes, I'm going to my cousin's for some emergency plumbing, which is what
Everyone
I'm
needs
doing.
tools on them at all times. You never know what might happen.
Yes, exactly.
I mean, they do say the laws here that, like, if you're going to carry a bat in your trunk, you also need to have, like, a baseball mitt and baseball. So then you have plausible deniability. You're not just driving around with a baseball bat.
Hey, you've always got an excuse to have a wrench. Well, yeah.
Yeah, no, a wrench, yes, but, makes much more sense than the baseball bat that I once kept in there.
Well, it's a thing, though, right? Because, like, if you pull someone over and they happen to have in their car, say, a case full of knives, that's not actually that suspicious because it's a case of knives. But if you pull someone over and there's just a single knife sitting in the back seat, that looks really suspicious.
Right. I mean, the first scenario, they could be a knife salesman.
They could be. Yeah. They could be taking their set of knives over to Sunday dinner with their family because Grandma
you need all
Edna
of them knives.
wanted the fancy knives.
or they're just
everyone has fancy knives.
Yeah.
Freddy, Jason, Michael. Yeah.
Speaking of, happy Friday the 13th.
It is Friday the 13th. That's correct.
To all who celebrate. Yeah. Like me.
It's a national holiday, didn't you know?
Yeah. Only one this year.
Yeah, actually.
Friday the 13th.
I swear we had like 3 last year.
Yeah.
It depends on how the
calendar lands.
just how it works out. Yeah, sometimes you can never have more than 3. I don't think. I think 3 is the maximum you can have in 1 year.
I mean, maybe we didn't have 3, but we definitely had a couple last year, and it felt like 3.
I think we definitely had 2.
Yeah, 2 is definitely possible.
2 because 2. We had 2 because no, maybe not. That was 2020. Because 2020 was that's when I got the notice on Friday the 13th that I'm not going to work for a couple months.
I mean, it is worth noting that the last couple of years have kind of blended together a lot in my head.
Yes, that's fair.
Aye.
It's kind of one big mush period that's all just abstract time.
Aye. Well,
man, we're close in October from having one. It's the Friday the 14th.
That sounds genuinely gutted and disappointed.
It does. I mean, you can pretend.
Yeah. But January 2023, that's the first one of 2023.
Starting the year off strong.
Yeah. So, but yeah. So.
Very nice. So yes, it is Friday the 13th. I didn't have anything spooky planned, but
I mean, Connor's here.
It's true.
Oh dear. So yeah, but don't worry, guys. Spooky or not, there's always time for the ComiXology Top 10.
This is the scariest thing of all time.
Just before you start that, God damn it, Amazon! Can you roll this out to the rest of us? So you have to look at the US charts to get the old publishers. That still doesn't work in the UK. I want to be able to see what books came out this week. Thank you. That maybe Image published. I don't know. Really goddamn annoying.
All right. Get off your soapbox. It's time to
It's been
actually
months.
do the Comicsology top 10.
Yeah, go on.
I don't even know what else came out this week. I didn't even realize Nightmare Country came out.
I mean,
How did he come back from vacation?
Number 1 is not a DC book, so I mean, if you want to give it a guess, it's
Did Saga come out this week? I wouldn't know because Amazon doesn't tell me.
it's not Saga. It's not a hard one to guess though. It's not like some weird book or anything.
Is it X-Men?
Yeah, it's some sort of X-Men book.
It is actually just the X-Men. It's X-Men 11.
Yeah.
So there you go. Easy peasy. Number 2, I don't even know what this is. Hulk versus Thor, Banner of War, Alpha.
I want to read it.
Who's that by?
That is Donny Cates and Gary Frank.
Shut up.
Do you know what? I remember Gary Frank posting the cover like months ago, presumably when it was solicited. So
I think he's just done the cover art though. There's just Amazon have listed his name first, so it threw me. I've clicked on the book though. It looks like Martin Coccolo is the actual artist.
No offense to that guy, but it's not Gary Frank.
Yes.
It's a little bit disappointing to come down from that. But
Yeah, I mean,
like, I'm sure it looks good. It might look great.
it's that thing where it says the title and it says by Donny Cates, Gary Frank, and then it just cuts off there on the chart page. So
Yeah.
it wasn't until I clicked on it that it specified he's the cover artist, and then there's another guy. So
Yeah.
So if this really was Gary Frank, I would be leaving right now and driving down to my shop to pick it up because I know they had one. Because I just looked at it, I saw the title, didn't really give it to. Now that I'm looking at the cover, it's definitely Gary Frank. Wow.
5-part event by the sounds of it.
There you go. Is that playing out in
Thor and Hulk?
I assume, yeah.
Maybe. I mean, I'm not up to date on.
I just say that because it's an alpha, and usually that you get an alpha and a omega.
Who's writing Hulk at the minute? I know Donny Cates is writing Thor.
I think he's writing Hulk too. I know that much.
Is he writing Hulk as well? Okay.
Uh-huh.
I know he's right. Oh, I'm thinking Al Ewing with Venom.
Yeah, you used to be on Hulk.
Yeah.
That's what you're thinking. You're thinking of Mortal Hulk. So number 3, we get a DC book though, Superman Son of Kal-El. Number 3, despite what many people seem to keep claiming about it not selling well because they're homophobic, really weird. But
I'm gonna have a word with Tom Taylor. Hold on, Connor, who apparently works for us. If that idiot who left a YouTube comment would like to believe, or that we have a direct line to Tom Taylor, which if that's the case, sir.
Pete, why are you holding out on us?
I would happily give Taylor Connor's spot, just for the record.
To be fair, so would I.
I'd happily get rid of Connor and replace him with Tom Taylor.
I mean, it would be a lot easier for Tom Taylor's scheduling.
Probably.
Right? Even being in Australia.
I feel like we could start a thing. You know how they always mistake him for Tom King? You could start a thing where he gets like a ginger wig, and we could like swap him and Connor out and see if anyone notices. I'm in the
You drinking it? You drinking it again, or is it just your natural voice? We just assume that when Connor gets super drunk, he sounds Australian.
Hey, a lot of Americans probably won't even notice the difference between the accents.
True. True.
So yeah, number 3, Superman Son of Kal-El. Connor had a story as well. What was your story?
Oh yeah. So I guess something about I don't know if it was this issue in particular, but the idea of John being, having come out was must have hit some sort of slightly more mainstream news website recently.
Okay.
Because one of the managers at work who claims he's definitely not right wing and is just a free thinking liberal, has some very right wing ideas, was just going off on a massive rant about why are they doing this to Superman? Why can't they do it to original character? I'm like,
it is an original character.
I was like, it's a new character. It's only been like 5 years. And he's like, that's not a new character, is it? And I'm like, I mean, compared to Superman being 80, it kind of is.
But here's the thing: if they came out with a character that was John, right, and not Superman, they would still get people claiming that, you're just doing this to be woke. So it's it's whatever.
It was
you know.
it was tedious to have to stand there
Yeah.
and argue it, and usually I don't have to argue comics related things at work. because no
anyone
one
who
would read it.
sincerely uses the word woke,
Yeah.
I usually that's the moment my brain
Yep.
switches off and I stop listening to you. That's just
Yeah.
that's just how
Oh
it
my
works.
God, learning that you don't have to respond to everybody on Twitter. So great.
All right,
I
number
had some... Yeah, go ahead.
number 4, just to keep this moving, because I felt a big tangent coming on there. Moon Knight issue 1. Looks good.
Yeah.
Was it in my book?
well,
I
it's
mean,
Moon-
makes sense.
It's blood. Oh, what's it say? Black, white, and blood. So it
Black,
looks
White,
like
and
it's one
Blood.
of those.
Yeah, so it's
Man, hope it's better than that finale. I'll say that much.
Oh
It's a 4
dear.
issue mini with Hickman.
Oh.
I think actually this might be the kind of similar style to the Batman Black and White,
Oh,
yeah,
right.
that's what I was
That makes
thinking.
sense.
like with an anthology kind of.
Yeah.
Because there's like 3 teams listed.
Aye, Uncle Googie is one of the writers on that.
Yeah, with Fornes is his story.
That was a good. I was just bringing
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
I've not
just say, like,
I've not spoken about Uncle Googie in quite some
it has been a
time.
while. He hasn't written anything for DC in a few years.
Yeah. So, yeah, Mark Guggenheim. Just in case anyone has it, is confused as to who the hell we're talking about.
I was very confused, and I feel like I should know.
Yes,
It
Uncle
came.
Googie.
It came because he's a producer on all the CW shows, Matt, and it became
Mhm.
kind of a thing.
Well, I recognize the Mark Guggenheim name.
Yeah, he was, I believe, the original showrunner for Arrow.
Yeah. Or
Or
he
at
was the
least
co-
he did a bulk of it during like the
Mhm.
3 to 6 season
Yeah.
era.
Aye, because the original show, or at least one of the original shows, ended up starting all the other shows, so he kind of left.
Yeah.
That wasn't Guggenheim. Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, so number 5 is Justice League versus Legion of Superheroes, which I'm sure Matt did secretly read, and is just
No, I still have most of issue 2 to read because I just can't. It's very hard, but I do have them. Not this one. I left that one on the shelf because no one's touching that book.
So obviously, like, that's our second DC book in the top 5, but the top 10 as a whole is actually quite DC filled, because number 6 is Jurassic League, issue 1. Number 6 is Captain America: The Symbol of Truth.
Mm-hmm.
And then number 8 is Suicide Squad: Get Joker issue 3, which I actually intended to read issue 2 of that when it came out, and I just sort of forgot, not because it was necessarily good, but because there was enough crazy things in issue 1 that I thought it would be worth checking out. And David was telling me this week that he glimpsed at the ending and it looked something very extreme was happening, and it sounds like a wild ride potentially. So maybe one to look out for the lols.
Mm-hmm.
Number 9 is Wonder Woman 787, and number 10 is Batman Urban Legends issue 15, and just missing the top 10 is Batgirls. So DC, you know, 4 out of the top 4, or sorry, 3 out of the top 4 were Marvel, but the rest of the top 10 almost were entirely DC. So not
Apart
a
from
bad
that
week.
Captain America book.
Yeah, apart from the Captain America. That's why I said almost.
Yeah.
So, yeah, not too bad. Nightmare Country, just a few slots down from that as well. Naomi and I am Batman in the next row. So, yeah, things are okay. Yeah. And, that Batman the Night, the compendium, which is the first 3 issues, repackaged into one, is, what's that? That's number 16? That's not bad for an $8 book.
I would expect that to be lower digitally as well, because it's not like the others are out of print. You can just
sure, yeah.
click them, right? They're right there. So
Yeah.
That said, though, it is cost effective compared to buying the 3. You're basically getting one issue free by buying that instead.
you are.
I almost grabbed that digitally because I thought it was the new issue of the night. And before I selected it, oh, wait a minute, that's not.
You're like, why does that say $8? Oh God!
Yeah.
You know what? I'll get it because I like the book, and then you buy the book and go, oh shit, this is just the first 3 issues again.
Yep. So that was a fun Tuesday morning as I'm sleepily downloading comics.
Yep. I know the accidental purchases when you're half asleep and shouldn't be making decisions. I'm familiar with those moments.
It's even worse now on Amazon because there's no basket to add it to. So it's not like you can add it to a basket and then check what you've actually got. It's just click buy and that's it. Tough shit.
It was the click on to how much it was, right? Yeah, to make my budget. So, for once, checking the budget saved me.
For once.
Mm-hmm.
You still check your budget. I just click buy and hope for the best.
No, I did that with some. Is she home? She's not home. With a Violent Gentleman Friday the 13th hoodie and shirt combo.
Oh, very nice.
I told her I was getting the hoodie. I said it was, $60. Didn't also tell her that I was getting the shirt. So, she'll see.
Is that
I
because
might not have said $60.
Wait, was it still $60 total, or was it $60
Yeah.
plus the shirt? Okay.
No,
You just lied about
$60 total.
You just
Yeah.
lied about the price of the hoodie, basically.
I might not have actually told her the price. I might have just said I'm getting this, and I'm still
Okay.
waiting to hear. But hey, $13 for a shirt, I can't pass that up. And it looks almost Takes Manhattan inspired, but with a hockey rink. So I was like, I need this, and I need the hoodie. And I'm gonna sell it to her. I was like, hey, you wear my hoodies all the time. So this can be your October hoodie.
Just be like, look, we've got it now. It's too late to do anything
Yeah,
about it.
exactly.
Just don't worry about it.
I can't cancel it now. Like,
Yeah.
this was after they put up a Hoth shirt for Star Wars Day that immediately sold out. That I was like, I don't need that now. So,
So this is to make up for it.
yeah, exactly. And I get a new hoodie.
I get it.
Yeah, see, Connor gets it.
What's on the hoodie?
It says Camp Crystal Lake Hockey Club, and then it has Jason overlooking the hockey rink, like the poster from Takes Manhattan. And that's why I was like, I need it.
Obviously.
Yeah, it's because that one, low key favorite of mine, because it's so bad. But he also punches a dude's head off, and it's like the best.
Jason Takes Manhattan's great. I will not accept any
Yeah.
Jason Takes Manhattan slander.
It's fun.
Yeah.
I did tell someone at work to watch it. They came back and go, "What the hell?" I was like, "Look, okay, it's an ironic thing.
I mean, you have to go in with the right expectations.
Yeah.
Don't tell someone this is an amazing movie.
I did not. They said, what's your favorite one? And I said, Takes Manhattan. They said, okay. I said, do you want to know more? And they said, no. And I said, okay. Then they came back and questioned me. And I was like, hey, if you want to know, like, a good, I would have sent you with 2, 3, and 4. Like, just pick, take that ride.
Do you know,
But,
do you know one's actually sort of warmed to me a little bit over the time as I've seen it a few more times is the seventh one. I don't like it. I don't like it more than some of the others, but that's the one where they've got like a telekinetic girl. So it's basically the pitch was clearly it's Carrie versus Jason.
Yeah.
Just with another girl. The more I've seen it, the more I've kind of enjoyed it. Obviously, it's silly, but
yeah, but I mean, at that point,
baked into the genre at this point of once you're that far in.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that one is the one we might be watching tonight.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
Did you buy the set on iTunes?
I did, thanks to Pete.
Yeah, I saw that tweet.
Yeah.
I mean, you can't say no to 8 movies for $13. It's too
As a
good.
steal.
That is what my wife said. I said, hey, I'm going to, I want the okay first. I'm not just going to buy things. She goes, wait, 8 movies for $13? And I was like, yeah. She's like, all right, that's fine.
I mean, the correct response from her should have been, wait, you get Jason Takes Manhattan for $13 and 7 free movies?
Yeah, right? So yes. And now that'll solve me from looking where they're streaming and what service. So that'll save that.
Every time there's a Friday the 13th.
Yeah. Because they disappear. It pisses me off.
Come January 2023, you're good.
Yeah, I'm good for at least 8 of them. And I already have the remake. So now I just need Jason X.
I'd say Freddy vs. Jason's worth grabbing as well.
Yeah, that one's always streaming somewhere though. That one I have never problem.
Oh really? Okay.
Yeah. But Jason X always a problem.
Obviously, Jason Goes to Hell. You don't need. You can just ignore that exists.
No one needs that.
Just ignore that exists.
If that was in the set, I would have called iTunes and be like, hey,
can you just remove this one?
Can you just take I don't want it.
You can you can do that yourself,
what you
actually.
did with that U2 album. Can you just do that to this? Just get rid of it.
Make it disappear. But yeah, so, but no, I'm very excited. Definitely, I think 7 because I haven't seen 7 in a while. But we just watched on the last one. We watched 6, 8, and the remake. So.
Honestly, like out of the first 8, I enjoyed them all to some extent. Even 5, which is not good. Like the
I think
stuff.
one
Yeah.
is the one I'd probably skip the most. If
Yeah,
I'm gonna
yeah.
skip.
Yeah.
One is still
Like,
is fun because it's not.
bland.
Yeah, it's not
Well-
Jason, so it's not.
Yeah.
Well, and it's they were trying to cash in on Halloween,
Yeah.
you know. So and it's just not.
fine, but it's a bit
Yeah.
boring, right?
Like,
There's no fun. And
What's
slop
funny
to
though,
it
it's not
for the
even
rest.
like it gets silly straight away because 3 is where it first starts to get a bit silly. 2 is actually just a better attempt at making a serious horror movie, bizarrely.
Mm.
So
Yeah. Two's where it's, you know, like it knows the tropes, but it's still not doing all of them. You know, 3 it fully forms and he gets his mask and it's legendary. And then 4, like 4 is almost like a low key classic.
I would say 4 is the one where he truly becomes. I know he gets the mask in 3,
Yeah.
but 4 is the one where he starts moving like Jason, if that makes
Yeah.
sense. Because see when you watch 3, the way he walks around or jumps out at people is very un-Jason like.
Well, and in 2, he's kind of a buffoon, like bumping into stuff.
Oh, yeah.
It's kind of funny. But no, 3, and you know the Corey Feldman is super 80s, and then 5 comes and just, you know, it's not. I've watched way worse thanks to Shudder.
It does have
You
that
know?
scene where the guy offers him a candy bar and he just like
Yeah.
axes him. Like it's like there
And I
is
don't
some
want to spoil
hilarity.
it because you know I got to experience these much later in life, so I don't know what anyone else is in it, you know. But 5 sometimes feels like cheating a little bit, just like 9 does. So
5's way better than 9. Like 5 still at least,
easy. They
like,
can't
you know,
even.
You know, it still has
can't even.
kills. It still has you know things. It's not a good movie by any means.
No.
It's you know it's the worst out of those 8. But
But yeah. So if I just need to get Jason X because that one's a whole lot of fun.
that one's gold.
Big fan of that one.
It's gold. Starring David Cronenberg.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right. There's your Friday the 13th tangent for the show.
Nice.
I like how like the other day when I was like, can we do this on Friday? Mass like, we got to be in and out nice and quick. So that, you know,
Hey,
you can go watch this
Once we
movie.
start talking about books, man, mum's the word. 'Cause also, I'm waiting for my wife to get home from work in the grocery store, so I have a little bit of time. You know, I cook dinner, but I did say, you know, we're spending the night with. I don't want to say that. Hanging out with Jason. I want to say spending the night with Jason. That's gross. But you know, so she knows.
Okay, yeah. that was a weird sentence, but all right. All right, we have some news to talk about. We all have something to contribute here. I caught one thing, but apparently there's other things that I didn't catch. The one that I caught is the announcement of a Human Target one shot that's coming in between, and you know, in the gap before the next half comes.
I think it's coming just like a month before the next issue.
It's coming out on August 23rd, and it's Tom King writing still. It's going to have a few different artists. It's going to be a little kind of anthology that ties into the main story, and yeah, you know, it's an intriguing little idea. It's called Tales of the Human Target. So it's going to have a Smallwood cover, so it, you know, kind of fits in with the rest of it. But obviously they get away with him not being the main artist on it.
Super pulpy. The cover, like, it definitely feels that's where it's drawing from.
Definitely feels like a spy thriller novel cover from.
And you know how we always
70s.
joke that like King over the last like 3 or 4 years like seems to have like his pick of all the best artists. Here's the 3 artists that are working on this book. So presumably it'll be 3 stories in this one shot: Mikel Janin, Raphael Albuquerque, and Kevin Maguire.
I'm telling you, he has blackmail from his time at CIA.
He does. He's got intel on someone.
But you know what though, like that's the go-to joke. But to be real for a minute, like seeing him and Garrett's their relationship online, I feel like Tom King's just like the nicest dude, and he must be like a joy to work with.
Oh,
you know,
sure.
like we'd always heard like Snyder and Capullo would butt heads a lot early on, and now they're like brothers and whatever. But I don't feel like Tom King's the type of person that butt heads with his artists. I feel like he's maybe from a CIA trading. He's just like, you know, working on comics is, the easiest thing in the world.
Easy in comparison.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't
and
know
so
why,
he's
but
just-
when you mentioned that Capullo and Snyder used to butt heads, like in the early days of the relationship, for some reason the scenario that popped into my head was Capullo getting some notes back from Snyder for some of his art, and Capullo just turning and going, "Do you even lift, bro?"
Yeah.
I don't know why, but that's the situation that popped
I
into
can
my head.
100% imagine him doing that.
I mean, Capullo became one of my favorites when he threatened the writer who must not be named at a con in front of everybody because he wouldn't let him talk.
Also, have you seen his arms? I wouldn't want to get in the way of that.
My whole thing is, why do you keep interrupting Greg Capullo, like with your not funny jokes, as he's trying to answer audience questions? And then when he turns to you, is like, if you're not going to shut up, I will shut you up. Yeah. So I imagine him looking at Snyder going, "Do you even lift, bro?"
Yeah.
Like, it just attracts. So, but yeah, no, this book right here, I'm very excited because I just wish, Patreon people should make Connor catch up on it while it's off.
Please don't.
Because it is that good.
Oh, it's fantastic. I mean, this is a pleasant surprise. Like, it's the sort of thing where it doesn't feel like it was necessarily planned. It feels like Tom King's just thought of some short stories to tie into the book, and why not throw a one shot together? So
from
I know it said they're all set before the book, basically they're just random, human target
stories from the career of Christopher Chance,
but in the continuity of this version. So that's neat.
That whose cover is this? The Jimenez cover was the first thing I saw of this. I was like, oh, that's a nice cover of Ice and Christopher Chance. And then I saw the news that it was a variant for this book.
There's a nice Marquez cover as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Connor, you had another new book announcement.
I do. Do you like Bermejo's work on Batman?
It depends.
Sometimes.
Yeah.
Well, he has a graphic novella coming out where we have already seen most, if not all, of the art.
Wait, hold on a second. What is a graphic novella?
It's essentially it's like a graphic novel, but obviously shorter. So it's like this is like 60 odd pages.
Oh, okay.
But it'll be released straight as like a hardcover thing rather than a single issue.
So it's a hardcover one shot, is what you're telling me.
Essentially, but graphic novella is the official term.
Okay.
That sounds like calling comics graphic novels.
I mean, sure, but I mean, you use novellas with books. It's just short books, right?
Yeah, but again, like when someone says that too, it's like, yeah, you're right, but you're also being a pretentious dick about it.
I can just see someone saying it's a graphic novella, actually.
I mean, sure, yeah. But this is pretty unique. It's called Batman Dear Detective.
Mm-hmm.
And we have seen all the art already. So all those variant covers he's done for Detective.
Ah.
Those are actually the art of, and this was always planned. It wasn't a case of, oh, we're just going to grab all those covers and do something with them. Once he knew he was doing, X amount of covers for Detective Comics, he decided to use it as a long-term project to make this. And it's actually going to be, the story is going to be told in the form of letters.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if they're from or written to Batman. It doesn't say who they're from, but I assume it'll be like from various people. Like maybe there'll be some from Alfred or whoever, and the letters will be set over the images from the covers that we've had.
So like,
I assume they'll thematically tie in with the images.
Yeah, this feels like it was just a gallery book, and he's like, "Hey, let me do something different."
Yeah, so I know he drew all the images after having already written. Maybe he didn't write the full script of each letter, but like, okay, this image is going to be paired with a letter that is about this thing.
Yeah, he had the breakdowns for what the letters were going to be.
Yeah, and it's pretty unique. It reminds me a little bit of the was it the Tomasi Gleason thing that we did in the Action 1000, where it was all the full page splashes?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Kind of like that.
Was like that was the whistle stop tour of Superman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of like, but like a full, 50, 60 page thing with that.
So at first I was kind of annoyed with the whole graphic novella, but now I understand why that term exists.
Yeah, it's very different.
Like
it's more prose with the letters and then with these big images behind it.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm very intrigued and to kind of see all those covers, which we've all seen, a lot of, when we check the cover every week, and they've been, picked by all of us at some point, I'm sure. And to see those recontextualized into an actual story might be really interesting.
Yeah.
I don't know if it says when this is coming out. I'll see if it says in. It's September 6th.
So it might be in the August solicits. Wait, is August this next? Or is it September this next?
It is August that's next,
Yeah,
but
okay.
it might be because it's coming out in bookstores as well. So it's like straight to trade, essentially. So it'll be in the advanced solicit stuff with the trades at the bottom.
That makes sense. Okay. All right, Matt is going to tell us who the final two participants in the incorrectly titled round robin.
Yeah, so not very excited about this. It comes down to two, kind of. It almost felt like these are, at least one of them was one they were going to. So the final four ended up being Green Lantern, The Light at the End of Forever, Superboy, The Man of Tomorrow, Constantine and the Demon, Vacation from Hell, and Suicide Squad Dark. So out of those, the winner will be determined on the 15th, and the options are Superboy, Man of Tomorrow, and Suicide Squad Dark.
Arguably the least interesting of both of the semi-finalists.
Honestly, it feels like with each round they just kept taking away the interesting ones. It got less and less interesting the more the rounds went on.
Like, I know you guys were really into the other Green Lantern book that kind of got lost pretty early.
Yeah.
But this was the Cy Spurrier one that I was quite interested in.
Mm-hmm.
And then Constantine the Demon just sounded potentially fun. Yeah, I'm not thrilled about either of these.
Yeah, and I've seen people saying "Oh, Connor needs this," and I was like, "Yeah."
I think I've just read these plot synopses for the first time because I don't remember.
You weren't there when we covered them all.
Suicide Squad Dark, a team of occult misfits and monsters assembled by Amanda Waller, led by Vampire Batman.
Mm-hmm.
What?
It's a multiversal.
Yeah, as if I'm not sick enough of multiverse nonsense right now.
Now, someone hasn't seen everything everywhere all at once.
I haven't, and it's really interesting how my Twitter feed is split straight down the middle, with half the people who've seen it like, this movie is amazing, it's exactly what it was promised in the trailer, and the other half being going, this movie is boring as shit. Yeah. And I have no idea which way I'm going to fall because it's definitely
a take on the multiverse that even in all the comics I've read, not experienced anything like it. So it does freshen up that concept, but I get where you're coming from. But yeah.
Plus, Connor needs to watch Doctor Strange too still, so that's multiverse stuff.
Wait, Peter, have you seen it?
No.
Okay.
I have heard some of the spoilers, and there's a continuity gripe that pisses me off. All I'll say, the name of the multiverse.
Yeah.
What are you playing at? That literally defeats the entire goddamn point.
Wait, what? You're talking about the name of the multiverse?
Well, the MCU universe.
Gotcha. Yeah. That bothered me.
I get. Oh, it's this cute little nudge, wink, wink. But you completely misunderstood the point.
Yeah. Especially because my quick thing on Multiverse Madness is it's not as bad as everyone is saying, but it's definitely not as good. Sam Raimi getting some reps back in and reminding you this is the guy that made Evil Dead, and he manages to Evil Dead the hell out of Doctor Strange.
Tim is over the moon about it. I spoke to Tim about it.
I've definitely seen some people annoyed by the post-credit scene, and I was like, why? And then I looked and saw why people were annoyed. They were like, what the hell's this? And then I saw what it was. I was like, okay.
Yeah, no. Sense. I had explained to my wife what that's about. So, but yeah, it is cool that for all the people that are constantly talking about the MCU's, everything's the same. And sure, it might look the same, but to get an actual director that gets to leave his fingerprints on this character, and it's Doctor Strange, that first movie, I don't care what anybody says, it's not that good. Even on, a couple rewatches in the lead up.
I will say I remember the visuals of it more than I do most other Marvel films, like the city bending stuff.
Yeah, but as
the rest I don't remember.
exactly, as a standalone. Like, I forgot that Mads Mikkelsen is the bad guy.
He is?
Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah, I always forget that too.
Was that the year he was in Rogue One as well? It was like
Yes.
the year of Mads Mikkelsen being
wasted.
underutilized.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he's getting those checks, so
Yeah, that's always nice to do.
yeah. But so I get the multiverse little stuff even as much as I enjoy that. Didn't feel like in Multiverse of Madness it was used as effectively as it could have been. And so all the people that are just trying to compare everything everywhere all at once, or I always mess up the title, but you know, that movie and Multiverse of Madness, they're not the same at all. They have completely different tones and everything. So just because they both happen to play around with the concept of multiverse does not make them.
One I will watch at some point. One I will never see.
Since it's a movie, can't go. Dang, Patreon, you heard the man.
They can't make him watch movies. It doesn't.
I know.
Doesn't happen. I was just reading what the final post-credits scene of Doctor Strange. I was curious.
Yeah.
God, did I pique your interest? Sorry.
Yeah.
I was just curious. I'm not surprised. I'll say that much. I'm not surprised.
Yeah.
I'll put it this way. I remember that one better than the quote main mid-credit roll. That's meant to be of most importance. But I remember that post-credit that everyone's way mad about.
It's quite funny that I don't actually know what that one is.
Yeah.
Like for the record, I have muted
Right.
Multiverse Madness and stuff on Twitter. I've had it muted for months. So it's only the odd thing that sneaks through my Twitter filters. But the actual spoilers of whatever it's actually teasing didn't get through at all. But the final one did.
The mid one did actually get spoiled for me unintentionally because basically an actor sort of debuts in it and immediately started posting things about, oh, now I can reveal I'm in this, and
right.
So that got spread around without necessarily naming it. So that was the sort of thing that might have got through your filters. So
yeah.
Obviously you didn't see it, but
yeah, I didn't.
But I saw it very quick. I saw it the weekend it came out. This like popped up. So
the day of, I saw it opening day because we were still on vacation. So yeah, and I was like, oh, okay, well, glad I saw this on Friday, and so it didn't have a chance to be spoiled because we can't have nice things.
I need to set up my muting filters for Kenobi because God damn it, I just know I'll wake up on that Friday morning. I'm probably going to be I'm probably going to be working the Friday. I'll wake up that Friday. I'll look at Twitter and everything will be ruined because thank you, Americans.
Connor, have you seen the trailers?
Nope, I've literally avoided everything.
Don't worry, I'll DM you all the spoilers first thing.
I will mute you. I will block you.
When you don't already have them blocked?
No, I mean, I've had it muted off and on at times.
This is all irrelevant. There was a trailer for Avatar 2 this past week, and that is far more important.
No one talk about.
This guy's got like 150 million views. It's doing great.
I know objectively it's got a lot of views. I've seen no one talk about it except you.
What's so funny is that last year there was like a unadvertised re-release of it in China, and it made like $60 million, like without any build-up or like anything. So Cameron is coming to do it again. Cameron is coming to show you who's the king of the sea.
I will one more time that he does not.
I was sitting in the theaters, and once the trailers start, my phone goes in my pocket. Mm-hmm. But as the Avatar 2 trailer is rolling, I had to message you two and Tim in our group chat and go, "Oh my God, it's an actual real movie." Because I really believed that it was not a real thing. I really thought just
it's just a tech demo really for Cameron.
Yeah, just whatever, but it looks like a real movie. And my wife goes, "Do I need to see the first one?" I was like, I don't remember it that well because it's been 13 years.
And it wasn't that memorable in the first place.
Yeah, it hasn't been 13 years. But wait, has it?
It has been 13 years.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Here I'm like just throwing out a random number. I don't remember most of it. So this could have all just been an Avatar 1 trailer, and I would have been like, wow, the new movie looks good. See what it'll it, but
that'd be a credit to the effects if you did question what year it came out in.
Yeah.
Which, to be fair, Avatar 1 does have better effects than most modern movies do.
Yeah, because
it does, but I assume they've aged still.
I mean, they've aged a bit, but honestly, like a lot of big budget movies now don't put the money into CG. Like the MCU has a lot of shit CG. They don't even try.
Yes. Eternals.
That's because they have to churn them out so fast, relatively speaking.
Yeah. I mean, they don't. I think a lot of people would be happier to have something, that's consistent.
Let me rephrase that. Disney wants to churn them out 4 times a year so they can have all the money in the world.
Oh yeah. That's definitely true. What's funny to me though is that part of the reason why it's taken so long apparently to make Avatar 2 is because Cameron was like, no, I'm developing a way to do motion capture underwater. It doesn't exist, so I'm doing it.
You should have just asked Andy Serkis. That'd solve the problem.
Yeah, I'm sure Serkis is credited as a consultant.
I mean, he is credited on pretty much every mocap project for the last decade because of the tech he pioneered. He still gets credits for stuff like that.
Actually, I thought it took so long because he was actually finding Pandora, because he actually has to go there, to film. So
it's all right. Look, it's fine. Avatar's better than Scott Pilgrim. We can just leave it at that, and we can move on with our lives. Okay.
I've watched Scott Pilgrim way more. I can't tell you the number of times. I've seen Avatar once.
I saw Avatar 4 times in theaters. So
what is wrong with you? I promise you. That movie is not making that much money. It'll make money. Don't get me wrong.
Define that much. What is that much?
It's not going to come close to the first one.
I mean, there's a lot more IMAX theaters now than when the first one came out.
I think
those are a premium ticket. So if you're talking money and not tickets sold, it might come close just based off.
But here's the thing.
There's nearly a decade and a half of inflation.
I don't think it is a failure if it doesn't make what the first movie made. I feel like if it even gets close to $2 billion, it's probably going to be seen as a roaring success.
I didn't say it would be a failure, and I don't think it gets $2 billion.
I do think that Cameron understands international appeal, right? He knows how to sell a movie to almost everybody.
Okay.
So I do think.
Here's a question, Car. Do you think it makes $1 billion?
Oh, sure, but let's be honest. It doesn't take much of a blockbuster these days to start looking at $1 billion, does it?
Compared to when the first one came out, that's somewhat true.
Well, I mean, just the fact that when Avatar hit that, it seemed like this unreachable thing, and then like a Fast and the Furious movie did it.
Right. Now there are blockbusters that look at that, and to them it's a disappointment if they don't hit that.
Yeah.
Sure. Yeah, but it's worth mentioning Cameron hit $1 billion with Titanic like decades before it was normal for anyone to do it.
I'm not disputing that. Like, I'm not saying the man doesn't have some weird pact with the devil.
Like, all I'm saying is that I don't necessarily think it's going to make as much as the first movie, but I think it's going to do big money and probably surprise everyone who has convinced themselves that it's going to come out and do nothing because they think no one cares about Avatar.
I don't think it's going to do nothing. I think it'll do $1 billion, but in the same way that any big blockbuster now can. I don't see it topping like 1.5.
I just like razzing Pete about Avatar. At the end of the day, that's what this is about.
I think it beats 1.5. I'll take that bet.
I don't think it does.
I think China alone is going to do half that.
Yeah.
I will be shocked for Pete's.
I've learned never to bet against James Cameron.
Don't bet against JC. Don't do it.
I saw one his Aquaman movie.
When you say JC like that, it makes you sound like a New Age Christian.
That's the joke. That's what I'm going for.
I don't like it. It's not funny. It's just.
I was on the phone with Rob for a second.
Believe me, Cameron is far closer to Jesus Christ in my eyes than any actual personification of.
I fully believe he found something at the bottom of the ocean that gives him this power.
He awoke an old god.
Yeah, exactly.
See, I mean, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, Titanic's like his arc, right? That's his Noah's Ark. Terminator is resurrected into a new Terminator in the second movie, and he's the hero of that one. So you got a bit of an Easter thing going there.
Yeah.
That's
I like the weird implication of that is that Jesus was actually evil during life.
Yes.
It's only when he was reborn that he became.
Honestly, the funniest
Jesus.
part of that to me is the idea that, you know, the rock rolls out of the cave and Jesus walks out butt-ass naked and goes, I need your clothes, your boots, and your motorcycle.
What is Dwayne Johnson doing there?
What?
He said the rock's standing there. Yeah.
No, it isn't the part of the story. There's a rock
Yes,
covering
I
the
know,
entrance
but-
of the
Yes, there is.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know the story that well. All right, shall we talk about comics? That's what we're here to do, apparently.
If you insist.
So we shall do it. We will begin with Superman, Son of Kal-El, issue 11. Tom Taylor writing with Cian Tormey on the art. So, yeah, we had the cliffhanger last issue with Batman telling John not to trust Jay because of his association with the Revolutionaries, which is obviously bringing in a bit of the Suicide Squad stuff, which was a nice touch.
Yep. And also, I do love that Tom Taylor's really telling a generational story, right? And of how John is this new generation of hero, and that to an old like Batman, right? The Revolutionaries seem dangerous, and as we know from Suicide Squad and whatever, is they're not. They actually, we know their noble cause. So the fact that Batman's like, oh, you gotta, keep him at arm's distance. You can't trust him because he hangs out with this dangerous group of people. I like that thread that went throughout, and then for Pa Kent to sit Batman down and have a talk with him too, another generational thing going on there. So Tom Taylor does best, I feel.
Yeah,
those little small moments.
Yeah, the book starts with they're at like the safe house that Batman's taking the Kents to, and John decides to tell Batman he's wrong. He decides to stick up for Jay, but we kind of get his narration, and we know that internally he's kind of, he is kind of like, what if he's right? Like, what if he's?
At the end of the day, it's Batman.
Yeah.
Most of the time he's right, but I do love that John brings up that. Yeah, okay, because you almost married Catwoman, and who's Damien's mom? Like, I do love him calling him out on those.
Yeah.
An assassin, right? And it's like, no comment.
Well, that wasn't him though. That was
Pa Kent.
That was Pa Kent.
Oh, that was Pa.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. John leaves because he's got stuff to do.
Gotcha.
To fly off, and then that's when Pa Kent comes out with the tea or the coffee, and it reveals that he's like, oh, this is what this is about. Because as soon as he talks about protecting those who aren't invulnerable, he's like, this is about Alfred, and then starts talking about Alfred like an old friend, and Bruce is like, what? It's like, yeah, we used to talk all the time. Like
every week.
Yeah, ever since we knew who you were and Alfred knew who Superman was, like it kind of became this thing. We could confide in each other because we could relate to each other in a way that no one else could. And just talks about how he was there and he would brag about you, but he had to let you make all your mistakes, so you have to let John make his mistakes. And even at one point, I really like the line where he's like, and who between us has more experience raising a Superman? Just
right?
There's some truth. And it references back at the start of Rebirth, John accidentally killing the cat.
Whose name is what, Connor?
That would be Goldie.
Yeah,
There you go.
I have to wonder, did the quiz, because I put this in your minds a couple of weeks ago, was this fresh?
It is funny because we did talk about how little of that era is revisited. Because it does get a little messy when you reintroduce the Kents and whatnot, but it like a lot of mainstream DC continuity, it all has happened. So I'm glad that Taylor did bring that up and makes
he
it
really does have a direct line to Tom Taylor.
Maybe, right?
Maybe he knew this was coming up.
Yeah.
I'm going to reference some stuff.
But I do like that
exists.
I do like that Taylor makes it a motivating factor for John to it is his first trauma, and that it informs. Well, not just an Uncle Ben moment, but he's just like, well, no, I need to try to keep people safe, and by doing that, sometimes I have to stay away from them.
Well, it comes back up later in a nice way, where he talks about learning to control his powers, and he knows, if he's applying too much pressure, if it's hurting someone. Yeah. So it kind of sets it up and kind of bookends the book a little bit with that idea. So I do love that he goes to talk to Dick again, basically for some advice. That it makes sense. Like, he's friends with Dick Grayson, and he's having a bit of a dispute with Batman. Who else to talk to but the person who probably is the best at dealing with Batman, the one who has the most experience in it.
Dick's probably like his cool cousin, right? Like, that's what the relationship's like.
Yeah, cool cousin, cool uncle, maybe push.
Yeah, because like he can talk to him no matter what, and Dick's not gonna judge him too much because he knows what it's like to be in those shoes, and he knows. So it helps that Taylor's writing both of these characters.
Yeah, and it's a nice touch that he's like, so should I investigate him then to be sure? And Dick's like, that's what Batman would do, but that doesn't really sound like you. He's like, I could just ask him, I suppose. He's like, yeah, there you go. So sure enough, he goes. They have the serious talk, and Jay talks about how he broke out. And what's funny is when he describes the revolutionaries coming getting him on the boat, it's very similar to the first time we saw the revolutionaries. The first time we met them was on a ship. They were attacking a ship. So it's not the same ship, but it's the same sort of visual. So it conjures up.
This was stuff they did.
Yeah,
a reasonable amount.
Well, and then when you know about the origin of Jay and the origin of some of the revolutionaries, it kind of makes sense that it lines up so much. Kind of the problems that we had, that Jay's too similar to like the Ares, origin and whatnot. But if where was he from? Was it Bodnesia? That's where the area was from.
Yeah.
So and Jay's from this from wherever Bendix is the president of. If they're close to each other, it makes sense that the revolutionaries are breaking up that type of stuff in that area. So it makes that go down a little bit easier. It's still not the best storytelling device, but this makes it easier.
I've not had too much trouble because I wasn't necessarily in love with the cliffhanger last issue, but I don't think anything they did with it this issue was an issue to me.
Oh no, I was more referring
it wasn't
to
particularly thrilling either.
Well, no, I was more referring to how we weren't a big fan of Jay's origin. It just seems like we've been there, done that.
Oh sure,
the presidential child.
Yeah, and this informs that a little bit better. That how it ties it to the revolutionaries, like you said. This is something that we saw them do at the beginning of Suicide Squad when we first ran into them.
Yeah, I'm still not necessarily in love with the mum thing that was revealed, but no, I disagree. I think this issue made that question posed by Batman last issue work for me, because the way John had to sort of dispute it with Batman's conversation with Kent, and then going to Dick for help, and then just I'll just ask him about it. That whole thought process, that whole thing felt very natural in character, and the right questions and dilemmas were being dealt with in the way that made sense for the character. So I think that all worked, and I was into the character dynamics, and of course realizes he sort of thinks about the they get to this point where they realize that Bendix is probably controlling people because he mentions the revolutionaries being part of the Suicide Squad and they had bombs in their necks, and then it kind of wait a minute it starts to put some things together.
Yeah, when they try to frame me, the guy froze up and it seemed like he wasn't in control anymore. So Bendix is probably controlling people with the same type of stuff.
And remembers that they put the Burning Man at the Hall of Justice. So he speeds off to Wally, who's there, and is like, yeah, we have to deal with the fact that Bendix may be able to control him at any moment and have this device in his head, which can also kill them, which they've also used before. And they get the Atom, and the Atom goes inside to try and deactivate it. But Bendix and co sense that something's going on, it's been tampered with. So Bendix tries to take control, tries to get him to burn up, and we get a great sequence where the Atom has to jump out of his body. John has to catch him and then fly up with the Burning Man up until the sky. And I'm not necessarily sometimes I feel like they have Superman and do too much with his powers, and sometimes it goes a little bit too far for me. So I'm not necessarily in love with the idea that he is able to do kind of microscopic heat vision surgery. But
I kind of hated this.
Sure, but what I did like about this scene, before Conrad goes all negative and shits all over it, is the moment where Bendix tries to pretend that he's just the Burning Man and tries to say, you're hurting me, and tries to plead to him and play to his sympathy, and John says, no, I'm not, I know what I'm applying. I know the pressure I'm applying. I've been doing this since I was getting it tied back into the cat thing. Like for his whole life, he has made sure beyond a shadow of a doubt that he knows what he's doing to other people around him with his powers, with his strength, whatever it may be. And he's like, no, I know it's you, Bendix. I know what you're doing, and you're going to pay for this. And I'm honest when I say things like this. I make a point of not lying. So it felt like I think just the act of him using this as a way to communicate and just speak directly to Bendix as a sort of hero to the villain thing, I actually thought was really inventive. So I really like that part of it.
I like that as well. As for the actual removal of the device, I know this is Superman, but it was essentially because Batman.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like,
because John.
Right? And I'm like, if we could do this in the first place, where, or you know, I can just combine all these powers and we'll do brain surgery. Why did we send the atom in the first place? Why did we have that whole? Why don't you just blast out? Immediately.
With the atom is they were trying to see if they could disconnect it without them knowing. So it was which shipped an alarm.
I also got the sense that like he wasn't 100% sure it would work, or at the very least he wasn't sure. Like maybe this is a little dangerous, but he's at a point of no return at this point, so he's going to try it anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm not necessarily defending it in the sense that I don't really like that his powers can do this.
I don't. I really hate it because I don't understand how this works with heat vision. Because how does it not hit any of the rest of the brain? Like how does it not go through? Has the man not got a
surgeon?
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I get he can use X-ray vision and see where it is.
Right.
But the idea that it doesn't hit anything else on the way through, right?
Right.
That he doesn't, the heat vision doesn't continue going through it afterwards. It just it is exactly the perfect amount of pressure. It's a lot of things that I just really don't like.
Yeah, I don't like any of that either. I think it's too much. It's too it's the same whenever Superman can actually look at the molecular structure or something and be like, oh, I can analyze this like a microscope kind of thing. Like I know he's got microscopic vision, and I don't mind him being able to zoom in and look far away or look at small details, but
yeah.
It's the same problem I had with a certain period of Doctor Who over the last few years, where there was a point during the end of the Russell T Davies period where I remember in the start of the Moffat area where the Doctor's like, just this once, nobody dies, everybody lives, and then because before there are people tend to die, in those stories, he doesn't save everyone, and then over time it got more and more like, oh no, he just became more of a Superman figure, and like, oh, we'll just save everyone all the time. I kind of would have preferred this here if John didn't save him. Like, it's just too easy. Oh, we'll save this guy. It's fine. There's no. I'm losing the feeling of the stakes here.
Ideally, that he took him up to the upper atmosphere because the fire can't burn.
Yeah,
so,
which is a great idea. I like that.
Right.
And,
the
idea
that's very
that
Superman.
He tries everything and then loses anyway.
I don't necessarily mind. I don't think I agree with the stakes thing because he has there are other people have died. Like
they have, but
so
like this one in particular, I felt it because it felt like his death should have been the outcome here for me because they tried to save him, they tried multiple things, and then here it's just we'll just pull this out of back pocket. That'll do. I really it kind of soured me on the ending of this issue quite a bit.
I don't think it fits in this issue because the whole point of this moment and him telling the villain that he's coming for him, it's meant because the final couple of pages is that Bendis is scared enough that he's trying to rush his plans ahead with Luthor, and he's like, let's get everything moving.
Yeah.
I think if he dies, if this character Lachlan, if he dies here, it kind of puts this completely different spin on how this entire ending feels, even if it still motivates the villain to do what he's doing. I think the whole point of this is that this is the moment where the hero feels like he's accomplished something, like he can win the day because things aren't going to get. We're not at our worst yet, this is like end of Act 1. The hero thinks that they are unstoppable before we get to the end of Act 2 where things are at their worst. So, I just don't think it fits here, given what the entire point of the end of this issue is supposed to be.
I get that, but I also don't feel like it fits with the build of the back half of the issue either. So I don't know if there's a way that it can win. Really, unfortunately, I feel like it was kind of written into a corner.
I think it does win though. That's the problem. I don't agree with you.
No, that's fair.
I mean,
you can be wrong.
I think it's fine that he survives. I just wish there was an alternate way. That
That's where I kind of come with that. I don't feel like it wins because it wrote itself into a corner where the only way he can survive is just.
I'm not talking about the. I am not talking about the method. I don't like the method either. I made that clear at the start.
But I do like the point where he looks at it. He goes, "Bendix, I'm on to you. We're coming." I do like that.
I'm just talking about the themes and the story beats and what this is doing at the end. It makes sense to me in where the story is and what it's propelling with both John and the villain and where it's going. Like that stuff I think does work and does make complete sense. The only problem I have with any of it is the exact method of which he uses to save him.
Right, and that it is kind of it forces a bigger problem for me in that if that's the only way you could get out of it by making up something that bullshitty, you've written yourself into a corner.
No, because I don't feel it's that bullshitty. I just think it's leading on. If Batman did this,
you'd be calling it bullshit.
What's that?
If Batman did this, you'd be calling it.
No,
bullshit.
I know, but it's relying too much on it because of that, and that's I don't want to say lazy writing, but it's not. I feel Taylor's a good enough writer that he could have come up with an alternate way, and that's what we expect. Like we expect this out of someone that we don't admire as much, right?
Mm-hmm.
I don't think it's a huge deal though in the long run.
No, to me it's not, because I mean if that's the case, if this is how John's gonna solve every problem, then when the Suicide Squad show up, he can just microsurgery, all their bombs out of their neck, and then there's no more super.
For them, it's easier though because you can just heat vision the back of their neck. To me, it's more believable he could do that because it's just the back of their neck as opposed to be in their brain.
Right. So it's just it's something I don't think will ever be brought up again. I feel like it's just it was a quick to get to point A to point B. Especially
Yeah, because I feel like it'd almost be a funny thing if like all the Suicide Squad members who were there that you kind of like freed from their bomb, like if the rest of their lives they all had like just this burn mark in the back of their neck.
What's that from?
Superman. That seems quite violent for Superman. No, he was saving my life. It was a thing.
There was this movie that came out. He learned it from Batman.
I like to think you get the consent though. It's like, hey, you could be burning through the back of your neck to take out the bomb.
I feel like some of them would be like, yeah. The other ones would be like, absolutely not. I'll take my chances with Waller and her neck bomb.
Do you think he branded a microscopic S into them as he did it?
Probably.
I would say why not have the Flash phase his hand through, but they'd have to solidify to grab the thing, and also it's Wally who's never been traditionally that great at the phasing, so
when he phases it stuff tends to explode, so maybe we should.
But no,
other than that, I thought it was a pretty decent issue.
That was a fine issue. I liked a lot of it.
The Pa Kent and Bruce talk about Alfred, which then also made me think, all right, Dark Crisis, things change in the Crisis. Are we getting Alfred back? Which you shouldn't be thinking of, but
I forgot about Dark Crisis.
I wasn't even really thinking about Dark Crisis changing anything, even though it's a call of Crisis, so I should have been thinking that. I
try not to think about Dark Crisis as little as I can, to be honest.
Did you guys discuss the Free Comic Book Day issue?
Yes.
Briefly, with what little it was, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So,
did you have thoughts on it? Because I know...
it was fine. It's just, it definitely feels like a crisis at this point. But no, I just, that's why, because it was more fresh. Because I didn't get my book until Saturday. I didn't read it till this week. It's just
I'm
busy.
Saturday. It didn't come out till Saturday.
No, I know, but like I it wasn't even up digitally for me. I can't, I can't find it.
Oh no, it's there.
I couldn't even get it.
Because I got it
digitally.
Yeah.
Not on mine. Not through my ComiXology. So
no, it'll be
I
there.
searched it.
You just have to search the right thing. It's just it's weirdly titled.
So reading it. So anyways, it was just fresh in my mind when I read this issue on Wednesday, because I just read, I was like, oh, Alfred, huh? Tom Taylor wrote a really good Alfred story in that whatever anthology it was. Was it an annual?
I think it was the annual.
Yeah. I would like to see, but then again, that also writes into a corner with the Dick Grayson and the Alfred Foundation. So I don't know. But no,
Give Alfred back all his money all of a sudden.
yeah, right. I was like, oh, I don't need it. Oh, I like being a butler. But no, and art's been pretty consistent, right, Tormey?
Yeah.
I actually feel like this issue was not his strongest. In the first half, especially, I think there's some of the panels between John and Batman where I feel like I can still see some of the early pass work on John, like the early pencils before it goes over with the inks, and like the rougher outlines.
Mm-hmm.
They're not physically there, obviously, and the thing, but I feel like during the shapes and just some of it feels just a slightly less finished piece than usual. But I mean, it's still not bad by any means.
Yeah,
just not up to the usual standard for me.
In general, or this book?
For Tormey in particular.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, the art's kind of like being in this place where it's just a consistent kind of, upper 7 solid, but not blow away by any means.
That's what I meant by consistent. It's from book to book. It's been good. I can't,
Yeah. It's just because obviously I guess naturally compare it to the other Taylor book which we're reading, which is Redondo in most issues.
It's a little bit unfair.
So there's a bit of a comparison. It's a little rougher, but
I just feel like there's not like these. I don't ever have these big wow like breakdown moments or splash pages, and I feel like it's like when they say like a journeyman like director where there's not a lot of like style. Although I don't want to say that about Tormey because Tormey has a style, but
I guess the layouts are just a bit more house style, I suppose.
Yeah, it's and it works to tell the story, and you never get lost in there, but there's the right amount of detail. So
yeah, that's fair. All right, Matt, what are you giving Superman Son of Kal-El issue 11?
It's a 7.5.
Connor?
I'll give it a 6.5.
Yeah, I will go. I'll probably agree with the 7.5. I was tempted to go a lot higher, but like I don't like the brain surgery power either. So getting some dock points there for that. All right, Wonder Woman 787, Becky Cloonan and Michael Conrad writing with Emanuela Lupacchino on the art. So yeah, we're back to Wonder Woman after this event's taken place, and the weird thing about this issue is it's a bit of a roller coaster because the first half of the issue is very much still just kind of like tying up some loose ends from the event, and also
I guess that event did deal with that guy.
Yeah. That was one of the disappointing things about it is that we like that annual that teased this story element with this character with the people who used to be on Themyscira and were going to wage war, and it didn't seem like that was going to be part of Trial of the Amazons, but it turns out that it was seemingly part of it. And this was it was kind of a weird read, like not read the event, to be honest.
So what I think happened is that he had something to do with the death of Hippolyta, and I don't know exactly what that was, and he interrupted the contest. But because Diana, it ends up getting solved, and now Nubia is the queen. Officially. Yeah.
So I'd say the first half of this issue was disappointing and just kind of a little tedious, not because it was poorly written or anything, but just because it was like it's dealing with stuff that I don't really know about, and it's also disappointing because I was hoping that we'd get a story with this character.
Him just in a submarine parked off of Themyscira, I thought was just hilarious. Because it's just a weird. That's what this book's been since this writing team's been on it. Is when it's weird and it hits, it's like fun weird. But when it's weird and it kind of misses, it's just awkward and I don't know what I'm reading. And it vacillates between those two, especially this issue, because I feel we get both. The fun weird and the awkward weird.
This is the thing. The second half of the issue kind of is like, okay, well, this is now setting up what the new direction is, what the new story be, and it's obviously dealing with stuff that was kind of bubbling. We had Cisco. Or Dr. Psycho, if you want to call him.
I still want to know how to pronounce that, and I can't find a good guide.
But
because I feel like it's spelled differently from Psycho to where it's not Psycho, but I feel like that's why he's called that because it sounds close enough. I don't know.
But it sets up that Siegfried's living with Steve, and we've got kind of almost I'll call it an Angel investigation style setup here, where Etta and Steve have got their own little branch of Checkmate now in Washington, and they've got a little. It used to be a post office, I think he says, that they're working out of as an office. So I'm like, okay, I'm kind of liking this new set. Because this is the thing. There was one thing in the back half that I thought was really weird. So it does tie into Dr. Psycho stuff a little bit, but like Etta's reaction when someone throws some milk at the car, when she goes up the stairs
extreme.
and pulls out a gun on them, I was like, whoa, Etta, like.
As far as we're concerned at this point, it's some kids throwing some milk at the car.
Yeah.
Hey, but Etta's seen some stuff. So, I'm just saying, she's...
And then it seems like Psycho is manipulating people with milk.
Yeah, that comes up later, yeah.
Like, what?
And I'm okay. I'm okay with that as a weird thing, because it's Dr. Psycho, he's doing weird shit with he's like, Joe Rogan style podcast that he's got every week.
So that's what I want to say is like them making Psycho the patron saint of toxic masculinity. I love, just because of his talking points I have heard through.
Right, I think that's kind of my problem. Is it's a little bit too
on the nose,
too just lifted from.
Yeah,
it doesn't feel like a character anymore. It feels like I'm just reading.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like Dr. Psycho. It feels like someone putting words in Dr. Psycho's mouth. Right, like the
guy who's stirring the milk, where it says, this is manifest destiny, and it heavily on the man part of manifest, and Psycho calling you got to drink your milk because otherwise the soy boys will cry.
Like, some of the dialogue's a bit on the nose. I can't deny that.
Like, that's how I know I spend on different parts of the internet than you guys do. I have encountered people that say stuff like this for real.
I have as well, but that's my problem, is that I don't feel this as I get the point, but it feels like
it should be more clever, right?
I feel like it's just lifted from that. I could probably get away with the guy on the bridge saying that, because he's one of the brainwashed followers, so to speak. But Psycho, I feel, needs to be smarter than that.
Yeah.
Right? And I feel like in a weird way that's like almost it sounds like I'm trying to give people like Joe Rogan credit for being smarter, and I'm not. No. But I feel like if you're doing Psycho as, he's the big villain, he's actively doing this, and he's meant to be smart and knows what he's doing. I feel like I'd want him to be better than this.
Right, you want him to be more conniving about it, where he's like, they'll just, I could say anything and they're going to eat it up. Right?
Yeah.
You want something like that in there. But yeah, no, just the fact that it's so spot on, and seeing seeing Dr. Psycho say soy boy, I thought was hilarious. Just because that's like one of the worst insults. Like, when I say worst, someone calls you you're kind of like, okay, whatever. I can't take you seriously.
Yeah,
it means nothing.
And it goes, to like for the juggler as well. He starts saying, "I hope all the Themyscirans die like their queen did."
Yeah,
saying dark shit like that.
And that's what I like, because seeing some of these parts on the internet, it starts with like the soy boy thing, and then it ends up with like, oh yeah, no, they're trying to take our culture away from us, and we have to fight back. And you're just like, oh, how'd you get from that to that? So I did like how it seems like it's this goofy thing that Psycho's saying, but if you're actually paying attention to it, he's telling you what he wants to do up front.
I do love his new villainy ink, though, that he sort of runs down at the end. It's such a pulpy set of characters.
It's so cheesy in the best way.
We have Dr. Poison, who's the alchemist. We have Professor Calculator. We got basically
Calculus.
Calculus.
Oh, sorry, Calculus, yeah. And we have Sweetheart, which is actually a put together, like one of those mirror versions, I think, of Wonder Woman. And then we got the Twin Shadows, who are only seen from like silhouettes from behind the screen. So we have this wacky, villainy. He says that the full way. He says villainy incorporated.
Yeah,
it's so stupid, right? And this is the part where I can see the fun.
Oh yeah, I love this. Yeah. Like this roll call at the end of all the villains, and Dr. Psycho being the main villain. I'm all in for this. And then Steve and Etta and that having like their own little office that they're now solving like crimes out of. Yeah, all of this is fun.
Checking out stuff for Checkmate. Yeah, and just the way that Villainy Incorporated works, right? We have the Alchemist is there, Dr. Poison, which is like one of the first Wonder Woman villains, right? That's why they were in the original movie. Bringing them back, and because how Siegfried died was a poison, right? And then you have Professor Calculus, who has created all these algorithms to make money by not doing anything. You know.
But the last thing is he claims he can predict like their enemies' every move. Yeah, this is the likelihood that they're going to do this. Blah blah
and whatnot. And so, I can't wait to see this blow up on Psycho. Just because, again, in my head, it's the Harley Quinn
is the best version. Yeah.
Yeah, and so he cannot do anything right ever. And so to see this to blow up, but yeah, and him also showing his hand, calling the dupe more like a pet, and he's so gross. So props on the writers for nailing how gross, Cloonan and Conrad, Dr. Psycho is. But yeah.
Yeah, no. So I like the back half of the issue, other than Etta overreacting to the milk throwing, which was just felt a bit weird.
And I don't know if that's just like, did we miss stuff during the event? Like, has there been a subplot with this where this would have made more sense to us?
Could be.
Possibly,
also, it looked like at a point where Etta's listening to Psycho's show, it's like she's zoning out. So I guess she being affected by it just by,
Maybe that's part of it. Yeah, maybe he's having an effect on people who disagree with him as well.
Yeah, and it's just, by you're passively taking it in as well. Maybe that's part of it too. I'm not quite sure. The Lupacchino art, I feel, isn't the strongest. Like, I love Lupacchino's art. Like, it's usually one of my favorite.
I think it's actually really strong in the first half.
And then as it gets going, it kind of falls off.
Like, all the stuff on the submarine, the start is great. That flashback sequence of the storytelling, where it's framed within the lasso, kind of in like really rounded motions for the panels.
Yeah, with the Cyclops.
Fantastic. Yeah, but the stuff in the city at the end is less strong. It's not bad, but it's notable.
Yeah, it's I would say it's bad, and not. I wouldn't say it's bad. It's just I had to double check to make sure it was Lupacchino towards the end and see if there was another artist. Just as it looked like it was someone that was emulating Lupacchino's art style. Yeah,
what was funny is I actually forgot it was Lupacchino, and it was when I was checking the names to get the list, I was like, oh, it was Lupacchino. I didn't even realize. And,
and that's
which maybe says something.
Tell, the Lupacchino art.
I did like Siggy getting really excited about his tie, and then he's not even wearing a shirt; it's just a t-shirt.
Also, how he crushes the paper cup, because he's still not used to.
It's basically,
and then he's like, not again.
They're doing the first Thor movie. They're doing the fish out of water stuff where he's just loving all these little things of
It is not going to end well for him.
Probably not.
He has a good roommate and Steve, and they get along, and Diana doesn't want them to know that they have history with one another. So I kind of like that little subplot too. Yeah. Steve seeing someone,
Which I think that was brought up before, though. I think we knew that.
That was because he was waiting for her to come back, and that's why she kind of waited. Because
I will say then I appreciate that it reminded me here because I had forgotten.
Yeah. But yeah, did this make you guys want to go back and check out Trial of the Amazons?
No, not
me neither. Okay, we're good.
As disappointing as it is to know that I don't get to see the story with Altoon that we had kind of anticipated for a while.
Yeah. Well,
I don't care about that.
There's more to Altoon too because he's talking to some dark voice, right?
Yeah.
Is that how you pronounce his name? I was saying Altoon, but I was reading it in my head.
It's just two U's, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know why.
And we should talk about his origin real quick too. They get into it that he was part of this army that came out of Tartarus, to slay monsters and stuff.
Really cool outfits. I will say.
But whoever released them set them against the Amazons and didn't end up well. So that's why he's Altoon the survivor. And he swore a vengeance against the Amazons. So is it Amazons or Amazonians? Just Amazons, right?
6.5 I guess.
Yeah. I just realized that. I mean, interchangeable, but yeah. So I like that. That's a fun new. I not that he's from Diana's past, but I do like when they bring up stuff from before Diana. That maybe
I did like him being like, "Hey, I was here when you were just clay."
Yeah,
Yeah.
I do like that because it plays on. You don't know everything. You know the Amazon side of things, but
Yeah, that stuff was fine. I was all disappointed because the stuff it sounds like happened with him and his ending felt really underwhelming. But obviously, I didn't read the story, so obviously it probably would feel underwhelming no matter what. I think the disappointment I have from this issue is that this was the jump back on issue. So it's kind of a shame that you still have to definitely read it going forward because the back half is very much the start of the new story. But it's also got all this stuff in the first half that is like kind of epilogue to the event.
Yeah, which is a shame because I thought that epilogue stuff would have been in whatever the one shot was that was after the event, maybe. And maybe if there wasn't one, I don't know, then there should have been one and we could have had that in there and we could have just felt a lot fresher coming back into this.
Yeah. Instead, the first half was kind of like just a constant reminder, hey, you missed a few issues, you didn't read the event.
It felt like here's 8 editor's notes for the wiki page that you can just go read at some point.
So that's a bit of a shame as far as jumping back into it goes, but I am looking forward to the next issue now. It's just a shame this one was kind of half.
And it is one that is kind of us bringing that bias in, because if you read the event, you probably enjoyed this issue more than we did.
Yeah,
probably, yeah. But yeah, we can only look at it from our own perspective, and we didn't want to read the event. We were interested in buying 4 other books for 2 months, so here we are. But all right, Matt, what are you giving Wonder Woman 787?
I'm gonna give this one a 7.
Cart?
I'm gonna give it a 6, despite really liking a lot of the stuff in the back half. The first half just kind of makes it. I can't really go any higher than that.
Yeah, I'm actually going to agree with the 6. And I probably liked the back half a bit more than you did, but I just got nothing out of that first half. It was like a chore to get through it just to get to. Because especially since as I was reading it, I didn't know if I was going to get like the fresh half, which I was hoping the whole book was going to be. I thought, is this just all going to be epilogue and it's going to be next issue before we really start doing stuff? So I was pleased that we could be transitioned halfway through, but yeah. So 6 out of 10 from me. All right. Batgirls, issue 6, Becky, Cloonan, and Michael Conrad writing. Look at them again. And Jorge Corona on the art. So this is the end of the first arc, and I'm happy to say it was a little less overstuffed. I still would take away the third person narration that pops in now and then, but it's a lot less overstuffed because it's not dealing with the serial killer stuff, and it's not dealing with that group that the Seer convinced to go after the Batgirls, which I don't think should have been in this arc at all. That should have been a separate thing later on, because it had nothing to do with anything that's going down in this issue or what's been going on with Spellbinder and the tutor. So Babs is with the Spellbinder, who is now tied her to a chair. There's a fun bit early on here because he basically talks about how he uses his art. He does portraits of people, combined with some fear gas, and it lets him it gives them like flashbacks about who they are. And he's basically the tutor was one of his patients at Arkham when he worked there, and that's how he's sort of taken him in and manipulated him to be his instrument and like taking over people in the city. There's a nice little moment here where Babs is able to like get her hands free, and she starts fighting him when she's still tied in the chair, and he says, what can you possibly do still tied to a chair? And it's a nice little kind of like, she spent years fighting from a chair. She's like the one person who can do this really well, and does a good job of kicking his ass. So that's really neat. And meanwhile, Steph and Cass are at the old Arkham building, and all the people outside who have been changed by Tutor are kind of zombified, and they're coming for them. But the Tutor's there. Steph starts fighting him. There's some nice trash talk, pretty much is what it is. Cass is outside dealing with all the zombified people, the reporter and all that. And eventually has to jump to save the reporter who falls off the building. And it's a fun moment, it's kind of a heroic beat. So Steph and Cass reunite and end up having to go outside, and Oracle, once she gains control of everything at Spellbinder's place, starts broadcasting out to people and sort of try to talk them out of the trance they're in, and saying, you will get better, you will survive these toxins, you will eventually get over this. There's an interesting thing here where so Steph and Cass, after they tie up some of the zombified people, they go after Tutor, who's ran away, and there's a moment where they do a Dark Knight Returns style panel where they're both jumping through the sky with lightning behind them, and I was like, that's a neat little thing. Could give them a little moment like that. It's hard not to conjure up, even if it wasn't directly meant to be a reference to that or a homage to it. It's hard not to think about it because it's Bat characters jumping in front of lightning. But Tutor has a suicide vest and he's going to blow up Arkham because he's a raving lunatic, basically. And Cass gets the bomb vest off of him, throws it to Steph, who takes it in their stupid car that they've been so happy to have the last few issues, and she goes driving away from the building, and they kind of like do a fake out here where she might have died like in the explosion, but I don't think it ever feels like she really did. It's kind of played. It's too lighthearted to ever actually take it seriously. Where the very next page after the explosion, like Cass is really upset and Babs is kind of saying it's okay. Sometimes bad things happen, and then Steph comes walking out the shower, and Cass is actually just upset about the car. And there's a sweet moment here where she sort of grabs both Babs and Steph and hugs them, and she looks really serious about like having like close friends who she cares about, and they're both just smiling because they're a lot more bubbly than Cass is. But a lot of this is they're watching the news and the reporters saying, but the Batgirls saved us, because keep in mind the Batgirls were kind of seen as fugitives for a bit because they were made to look like villains during the whole Fear State stuff. And as they're watching the news, like the TV starts to glitch and it's like the Seer's talking to them, and they think it's the Seer. The Seer's like here to talk to us, and then the Seer actually walks in the door and says, "No, I'm not talking to the TV. That's just kind of like what I have been doing. Like I'm actually just here." And so the cliffhanger is the Seer says she needs their help, and that's kind of the cliffhanger. And I was okay with them bringing in the Seer here at the very end because the story's done. This is the setup for the next story. That's fine. This didn't feel like stuffed in. This felt like a nice natural tease of where we're going next. And it says next time break in at the Iceberg Lounge, which sounds like fun. So I think the arc, looking back on it now that I've been able to read the whole thing, it does have that problem of just having too many plots going at any given time and being a little too densely packed a lot of the time. But I have often enjoyed the chemistry of the characters, and I think this final issue, well, the plot's nothing revolutionary and the villains aren't necessarily that exciting, like the guy who worked at Arkham who got kind of crazy and power mad thinking he can cure the city in a different way isn't really that original in the Bat universe. We've had similar kind of things here or there before, but the Batgirls, like, and how they get out of their predicaments and how they deal with the situation is kind of the fun. So I had a decent time with it. I still enjoy the book well enough. It does have some quirks and things. The art is generally very enjoyable though and fits the tone. Corona's been really consistent throughout the whole thing. Colors are very vibrant. They pop very well. It's very expressive. I kind of dig how, because the Batgirls all look very distinctly different anyway, because they all have very different hair colors and things like that. Yeah. So, but no, I like kind of the like. Any kind of extreme expression is really well done in Corona's art. Like any sort of like anger looks really angry, and any type of like happiness looks really happy. So it's very expressive and cartoony in that sense. There's not too much subtlety, but that's okay because it fits the vibe that it's going for. But I'm happy to give that like a 7.5. I wouldn't say it's quite great. It's still just too many little nitpicks to have with it to go that high. But I would say 7.5 for this one. So, not bad at all. So that's Batgirls issue 6. Batman Urban Legends issue 15. Matt read this, or at least 2 of the stories, and is going to tell us about them.
All right, so just real quick, I was reading that Zatanna Batman one. I did read it. All I want to talk about is how off Constantine felt, and I'm not a big Constantine fan, but he called Batman a DILF. And it was, and I get it. Constantine's a complex character, and I get he's a bit of a raps guy. And him calling Bruce though a DILF just did not feel right. Connor, can you help me? You're a Constantine guy.
What's that? Dad, I'd like to fluff. Is that?
Yes.
Yeah. So that shows up in that story, and that story gets a lot weirder. Yeah. So, but the first story I'm going to talk about is Batman and Plastic Man, written by Joey Esposito, who I don't know if Connor was in that group, but it was yeah. We all met coming out of this what was that podcast? Podcast Facebook group. I can't even remember at this point. It's been decades, right? But yeah, so he's gotten a chance to write for DC, and he got to write this short here. I'm trying to get to the artist, so I can also give the artist credit. But yeah, so it's Batman and Plastic Man teaming up, and that there's a guy that's gonna flip on the Penguin, and of course, the guy that's gonna flip on Penguin goes back with Plastic Man. They knew each other from the time that Plastic Man was just a hench for hire. And Batman fully believes that that no, this guy's running. That he's not gonna flip on the Penguin because the Penguin, you don't do that, right? But Plastic Man's like, no, I know this guy. He's gonna do what's right. His name's Sampy. Art in this is by Jason Howard. And so they end up, Batman and Plastic Man team up, and they find out that KG Beast has been hired by Penguin to bring Sampy in. And so Plastic Man gets into, how he knows Sampy, and is that before, they had really come to Gotham, they were doing like a casing of it, and they're there and they experience a Joker attack. And Batman comes and saves them. And it was at that point that the man that would become Plastic Man, E.L. O'Brien, had decided he was going to get his life together and not do the criminal stuff anymore. And then, of course, he becomes Plastic Man, he says shortly later. But it was that he was inspired by Batman, and that, Batman just has to trust that Sampy's going to do the right thing. So Batman and Plastic Man go and, they fight KG Beast. They knock him out of this helicopter. There's a lot of boats involved out in the open ocean, which leads to Plastic Man taking a lot of fun forms. Like at one point, he's like a windboard, or is that what that's called? Yeah, where it's got like the surfboard but it has a sail on it. And then other times he's just a sail on like a rowboat. Plastic Man ends up wrapping KG Beast up because him and Batman are going back and forth, and KG Beast tells Batman, "Oh yeah, you're a coward. You won't use guns. This is why people keep coming back." And that allows Plastic Man to wrap him up for Batman to deliver the KO. They end up getting back into Gotham, and Bruce lets Sampy go and is going to trust him in order to turn himself into the DA like he was supposed to. With, Batman saying in the narrative boxes, all criminals are cowards, but it's nice to be reminded that they can choose to be something greater. And it was just a real nice, it almost felt like a Brave and the Bold from the cartoon. Like one of those kind of team ups. The voice on Bruce is, it's very animated series where he's not overly serious, and there's not a lot of inner monologue. A lot of this is told through the dialogue, and the Plastic Man is pretty spot on. A lot of fun little zingers, and him turning into the different water stuff, and he doesn't do a lot of transforming outside of that, but a lot of the stretching stuff. So like at one point, KG Beast is just raining on him bullets from a helicopter, and Plastic Man does like a human shield maneuver for Sampy, and he's like, hey, it'd be nice if you would move because they are plastic, but it still hurts to get shot. And the way that he's drawn doing the human shield, it's he's all stretched out wrapping around him, which is super cool. But yeah, no, this was a real fun story, the type of stuff that I'm glad can exist in a book like this, because I don't know where else this story would pop up. Like it's not quite an annual, but so I'm glad that Urban Legends, at least for that. So I'll give that story. I'll give that one a 7.5. And then the again, I always say this is the main event. This is the Carl Mostert and I'm having a hard time with names today. Maybe not enough caffeine. John Blake, help me out, guys. Wonder Twins.
What? Mark Russell?
Mark Russell. Thank you. The Carl Mostert, Mark Russell, Ace the Bat Hound story. And we get Ace's origin that, 5 years ago, this older guy goes up to an apartment and, says that he wants to adopt one of these puppies they put in the paper. And he takes them and says that it's going to be a fresh start, gets them home, he has them a bowl, and there's a knock at the door. Before the old guy can answer it, the door's kicked in and it's Joker. Turns out this guy was one of Joker's henchmen that wanted to start a fresh life, and he can't have him do that. So he shows up and he just tells him, the witness protection, doesn't really matter much. Calls him by his name, and he says that, the older guy's like, fine, just make it quick, and Joker stabs him in the chest, which leaves this dog, and Joker sits on the ground with them, and Joker's henchman's like, well, just make it quick. We don't, just throw him off the balcony or something. Joker's like, no, let me have fun. Did they not teach you anything at community college? And he sits down and offers to play the dog high card to where Joker draws a king. And he goes, that's not looking good for you, guy. And he ends up drawing an ace, which is fun. That's how Ace got his name. So that's where he takes the dog and leaves the other henchman, there, shoots him because he's pulling out the knife, makes it look like the one henchman killed them, and Joker walks away. And then we get back to the present day, and Ace and the squirrel and the turtle and the chicken are still looking for Bruce. And the chicken ends up, being able to use the internet through its, cybernetics. They track Bruce to where he's at. And during these one of the cage matches that's going on is they decide to add another element where they make the two guys draw cards, and one guy ends up with a candlestick and one ends up with a revolver. So all I can think of is they just pulled cards from Clue, I guess. And the guy that drew the candlestick's upset because he's like, this is not fair. And the revolver ends up only having one shot in it, which the guy wastes by shooting himself in the leg, which leads to the candlestick guy just walloping him. The villains that are sitting around this cage fight get bored, including the Joker, who's like, this is not what we came for. So the Russian guy brings out Batman. All the villains start, trying to win Batman, but they point out, Joker points out, like, wait, how do we know it's really him? We can't know. This could be any schlub that you dressed up as Batman. So the Russians like, oh, well, there's only one test. Pick somebody, or we'll pick someone to have Batman fight, and you can see him. That's really Batman before you buy him. As the animals are heading there, they get caught into a trap, and they're like, oh, we don't have time. We just need to bring, some of them back because they're out of time. And as they're going, the chicken realizes it's a trap, and one of the bad guys shoots the chicken, and it's super sad. And I don't like that he did this to us, because Mark Russell has a way of doing this. I don't know if you guys have read like his Flintstones, but he gets you to really buy into these characters that you normally wouldn't. And then he takes them away. And I should know this by now, not to get too attached, right? It's kind of the Game of Thrones thing. Can't get too attached to certain characters. But yeah, the chicken sacrifices itself for Ace and the others. So Ace goes into action. He gets grazed because the squirrel jumps on one of the other villains who just starts wildly shooting. And then Lex Luthor, who the villain or who the henchmen go to let out, decides that, he's doesn't want to be controlled by these idiots and attacks him, which leads him and Ace having a standoff where, he kind of lets Lex go. The other animals get around and mourn the chicken, who's, experiences his final moments, to which Ace nuzzles, which again, completely destroyed me. And he gets back to Batman, and they said, all the villains are arguing that none of them want to fight Batman, because if it really is Batman, they all know what it's like. And the rest was like, oh no, we already have this in, bring her in. And it ends up being the bear who they, got back in the last issue. And so now it looks like Batman's going to have to fight a bear, and I'm not okay with this at all. Because Batman, right?
Who do you root for?
I root for the bear, but that's me, and that's not everybody. But I'm sure they'll be able to, get out of this, because he's already called, Russell's already caused me so much emotional damage. He's got to make good here. But yeah, no, this story is been the highlight of Urban Legends for the last 5 issues. So yeah, the Mostert art, again, it plays a lot of the heavy emotions here. The way he designs his villains is, I can't think of the artist. I'd have to show you guys the art. Connor's usually pretty good at finding comparisons. But it's very familiar, but not familiar at the same time. So I like designs like the Joker design. He has Ivy sitting in a plant chair, which is a lot of fun.
Who is the artist here?
Carl Mostert.
Okay, I'm familiar, but not enough to know.
Yeah. So yeah. So I'll give this story an 8.5. So, averaging out the book out of the 2 that I read, that gives it about an 8.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
So that was Batman Urban Legends 15, which will take us on to Naomi Season 2, Issue 3, Brian Michael Bendis and David F. Walker writing, with Jamal Campbell on the art. So the cliffhanger of the last issue was Naomi was looking into where D went, and it took her to Star Labs, and we had Cyborg popping out through a portal and saying, "Quick, close the portal."
Yeah.
That was the ending of that issue. The actual cliffhanger with Cyborg is kind of not a big thing. It's just kind of like very quickly they're fighting like a monster thing, and then they close the portal, and that's it.
Naomi punches it back to where it belongs, which I thought was
pretty
funny.
much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's basically it.
Yeah. Did Cyborg feel like the right Cyborg to you? I felt like the dialogue was off.
Well, that's the thing. He even says, "I'm not sure what Earth I'm on.
Okay.
I don't know if it's my Earth." So this could be he's a cyborg from another Earth. Yeah.
Okay.
So.
Well, then that was great happenstance. She happened to be at Star Labs to help him out.
Yeah, it's funny. Yeah, honestly, the far more interesting stuff, as always with this book, is the character stuff, which is her parents like being worried and talking about stuff, and Hawk Girl coming to visit them and saying she asked me for advice last issue, and I ended up just talking to her about the history of Thanagar and some of the shittier things that happened. But this just makes them worry more, is that she's getting advice from Hawk Girl and Justice Leaguers and what's going on. So
it should be Hawk Lady, Pete. I thought that was a funny.
I mean, Hawk Girl questions, should it be Hawk Lady? And she goes, no.
Yeah, no, I know, but I just love the mom. It should be Hawk Lady, really.
Yeah.
So you can tell by the wings. And that's, again, a lot of the fun dialogue like that is stuff I've been missing from other Bendis's books.
Oh, sure. The Hawk Girl goes to help. She ends up showing up at the end of the Cyborg stuff. And, sort of saying, I want to see your parents. And when she goes back home, when Naomi goes back home, and her dad tries to sort of talk to her and talks about, why it feels so weird. It's like when she goes out to do stuff like this, they don't know where she's going. She doesn't tell them. She feels alienated. They feel they worry. It's kind of just like a magnified version or a multiplied version of like any worry a parent feels when their kid starts doing things on their own, when they start going places without them.
And it has the added element of her being a superhero, and that makes you a target, and we don't know like it's not just her taking the car out, right? It's her fighting, like Black Adam or whatever. Like it adds this extra element, and I thought, man, that is something that we don't usually get that, because so many of our heroes, like, right, so many of the young heroes are almost orphans, and we don't ever really get this side of things.
Oh yeah, usually the parents are dead. Yeah.
Right, or the person that's responsible for them is also a superhero, right? So to have, I know her dad's from Rand, and he was, probably a soldier or whatever, but he's not a superhero. So
yeah, that's the thing, because she's arguing with her parents here to a point and talking about how like she has to do stuff like this, and when she says, "Oh yeah, technically my arm got broke, but it healed quite quickly because of my powers." Like the mom's like, "Oh, we should take her to the hospital. She take her to the hospital. Let's go. Should you fly us? No, I'll drive us. I should drive you. I'm the mother."
Yeah.
But eventually, like her dad suggests, maybe you could just not be a superhero. Just because you have powers doesn't mean you have to actually actively do this. And I think that's kind of an interesting question to pose. But I do really like this moment where she turns around and says, "What are you talking about? No, it's about helping people. There's no way I'm going to go through all this and not try and help people." And there's just a moment where they sort of take it in, and then they just go, "Like, we're kind of proud of that, right?"
Yeah.
Because why shouldn't they be? Of course they're proud of that.
And that's very much like, she grew up idolizing Superman, right? And that is a very Superman, Clark Kent, tell mom, Pa Kent, because this also reminded me of that part in Birthright, which is one of my favorite Superman moments, where, so Clark's getting ready to, debut as Superman, and Pa Kent is like, "Well, no, don't forget, you're still our son. And once you go out there, you belong to them too. And I'm always going to worry about you." And I felt shades of that in this, and I really enjoyed that.
Yeah, I mean, I think part of it as well is this idea that, like, parents are going to feel protective and not want their kid to do. I mean, I think they even joke about, "I want to Rapunzel you. I want to make you Rapunzel." Yeah. And it's this idea that they're actually so proud of her character, of who she is and what she believes in, that ultimately they can't really argue with her choices. They can limit it to a point for a little bit while she's still technically a child, but once she's 18 and she's making her own choices, she's going to go off and do this anyway. She may as well get good at it now.
Well, and she has great mentors right now too, right? Like, she's in the Justice League, so if anyone's going to steer her right, that's it. But yeah, no, all that stuff with the parents is really good.
Yeah. And then we get another slice of life stuff where she goes back to school for the first time since all this has happened, and everyone knows who she is. Like, they all know she's got powers. So we get this kind of, like, just the people staring at her in the hallway. Her friends been happy to see her, cracking jokes about, "Don't you just graduate immediately because you got superpowers? Is that not a thing?" And they're hanging out under the bleachers later on, and this bully comes and, like, apologizes for some of the stuff that he said to her. And Naomi, like, genuinely seems to not know how to take it. It's like, are you doing this because I've made you realize that what you did was wrong and you feel bad, or are you doing this just because you're scared of me because I have powers now? Like, it's like you can sort of see it, and this is a compliment to Jamal Campbell's art. Is I think you can see in her face like she doesn't know how to take it. She doesn't know how much to take this as a sincere thing, or not so much that it's not sincere. Like, I get that he wants to make it clear that he's apologizing and he's being sincere in that sense, but the motivation for the apologies what's unclear.
Yeah, you're apologizing, but for what?
Yeah.
Are you apologizing because I have powers? Or are you apologizing because you suddenly matured and realized that, you were mean to me?
And it's this, it may be part of the reason why she looks so apprehensive, is this maybe fear that she may not be able to trust people sometimes now, because they might want to, like, like with a celebrity, like, everyone trying to, like, suck up to them and be nice to them, that kind of idea. Like, that might be a part of her life now. And she has her close friends that were already her friends, so she knows they're okay, but, like, meeting new people and making new friends that aren't other superheroes is going to be maybe a little trickier now, a little, there's this extra layer there. So there's some interesting
I like
stuff.
her friend's reaction to the guy that comes busting into their de facto clubhouse under the bleachers.
Yeah. So the end of the issue is that they hear a boom at the end of this scene, and Naomi flies off to see what it was, and it's D landing with what? Do you know, I actually thought he was missing an arm at first because
Me too.
Because one arm's sort of up and it's under some rubble, and because there's like sort of red, like there where his arm would normally be sticking out, I thought that was blood coming out of a wound. So I mean, maybe a slight critique that the art was. It's not even that the art itself is messy, but the scenario that the body's in is messy by design. That I actually thought he was missing an arm. So it's a very minor critique, but I'll give it. Otherwise, though, very expressive. Like I say, like the performance in the art on the faces was doing wonders throughout this. And as per usual with this book, it is the character relationships, interactions, it's the metaphors for growing up that is good about it, and the actual like action plot with the with the monster and the cyborg is just kind of whatever. It's just there.
It's fine. Yeah.
It serves its purpose, and that's it.
Yeah, I breezed through it, and learning that her, it hurts when she heals. That's such a great like metaphor for growing up, right?
Oh yeah.
That like it didn't hurt in the moment, but as you're getting right, that's when it really hurts. And so I like that little addition to the Naomi lore.
Yeah, and honestly, this issue kind of made me realize that there is a lot of Buffy in this. Like, it's very different context, and it's a very different, like, because she idolizes Superman. But a lot of this stuff being a metaphor for growing up is very Buffy. Like, that's the whole Slayer thing. It's just a metaphor for coming of age and adulthood. So it's good. And I've upset Connor, and that's a win for the day. So
also, because that's basically all of Spider-Man.
Yeah.
Is it though?
This is how Pete tells us that
what Spider-Man was.
His high school is on a hellmouth.
He wishes.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, I was just gonna let him have it, Connor. It's
because he has to use it.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Where?
Because I got. If we're talking about the expressions, when he said that, my eyes got wide. Like, where's this thread going? It's okay. But yeah,
you can't argue with this.
I mean, but like Connor, like I would take Connor's track. That's also Spider-Man. Has been Miles because he's Spider-Man. How many of the Flashes?
Sure, sure, but small town teenage girl. There's a lot of the DNA in this. That's all I'm saying. There's some points of comparison, and it can't be argued. So there you go. Any other thoughts, Matt? Yeah.
No, that's it. Just basically parroting everything you said about the art with Campbell. But yeah, it's real good. I'm wondering where else this can go with Naomi. Like, are we gonna get a season 3? Like, are they gonna work her into other stuff? Because it seems like this book, where I've had my complaints about Naomi showing up in the other Bendis books and seeming to be the spine of those, but when we get back to her own book and we're getting a lot of these smaller moments, it almost makes it worth it, right? That we're not rushing to her home world in this book. We're getting these moments with her parents and her friends, and so I feel like I am starting to see the method to Bendis's madness, because how much more I enjoy this than some of the other stuff. But yeah.
Well, he doesn't have to worry about any that's been adapted into a TV show anymore. So
unless your name is Flash, everything got canceled. Well,
pretty much,
right? Yeah.
Well, Superman Lois is still a thing. Yeah.
Yeah, still going. Yeah.
But
Stargirl, that existing still.
The Stargirl's just not aired its third season yet. I mean, that may get cancelled still. It's just we just don't know.
I did actually sorry, I saw part of the reason behind the scenes might actually be a lot less to do with the Warner reshuffling that we thought, and just the leases on the soundstage for those shows are up. And, with more and more things going to Vancouver, they're charging more to renew them.
Right.
So it might be simply, well, we don't want to pay for a long-term lease on these shows that we might only have for another 2 or 3 years.
Right. No, that makes sense.
That's pretty funny.
Yeah.
That's pretty funny.
So on the flip side, that's mainly Batwoman and Legends of Tomorrow. I think it applies less to Naomi, which is only like one season in, but maybe some of those newer shows.
But actually, that doesn't even make that much sense to me, because if they're going to shoot, because they would just shoot another show there that they start the following year, I assume.
I have no idea.
I'm just saying that, Daly's place isn't being used for a lot right now. They could film stuff there.
This is a pretty shoehorned wrestling reference, Matt, to be honest. I don't know what you're getting at.
I'm just saying, I'm talking about the Warner merger. I'm just saying, they're not using Daily Place to shoot. They could shoot stuff there. They've had stadium stampedes there. I'm sure they get the legends running around if they wanted to.
They don't turn it into like they don't turn it into a spaceship, Matt. It's not a soundstage.
What if the spaceship looked like a stadium? That's all I'm saying. These conversations have happened in boardrooms.
I don't think they have. I think this is your demented mind and no one else.
Put that on the
Matt's
shirt.
just a radical out-of-the-box thinker.
Sometimes.
Out the box? The box has been like broken down into a flat pack and is laid smoothly on the ground, and he's like dancing on top of it like some sort of mime.
It's the box is in the garbage can, ready to be recycled.
Do mimes dance?
Yeah.
Matt would if he was a mime.
I mean, I feel like all movements mimes make is a form of dancing. That might just be me.
There's a difference between mimes acting out what they're doing and dancing.
I'll tell you this much: I don't trust mimes.
Why would anyone trust mimes?
It's interpretive dance.
Yeah.
It's sign language, if anything, really, isn't it?
No one pulls that much rope to have nothing at the other end of it. I'm just saying.
Might get into the philosophy of mime performances there.
The only people I trust less than mimes are the people that stand still and act like a human statue. I don't like them either.
Pardon me. What are you rating Naomi?
8.5.
8.5. Yeah. I'll just go straight 8. But yeah, it's very good. I think the see, I was worried at the of the season, but 3 issues in now, it's been up to kind of the standard I expected from the first season. So good stuff. I do wonder if the possibility of future seasons is kind of like diminished now because the TV shows fell through and there's less of a reason to try and keep promoting it as a thing.
Yeah.
Because I don't necessarily think it is like this big seller necessarily. Even with Bendis' name attached, I don't.
It's the sort of thing where I can see that maybe they had a deal with Bendis where he gets to do X amount of these minis if they give it, if he does X amount of other books. But with his other books not selling as hot, maybe that leverage is gone.
Very possibly.
It's a shame. Or maybe we'll just get these in the young adult style where they come out as a trade.
Maybe. Would be a terrible idea. But there you go. That is Naomi Season 2, Issue 3. Alright, it's time. I've spared no expense, Matt.
There it is.
Because we're going to talk about Jurassic League Issue 1. One Gedeon and Daniel Warren Johnson writing, with Gedeon also doing the art. So that is the team on this. This is a book, an Elseworld, where the Justice League are dinosaurs, and this seems to be the story of how they're going to come together because they're kind of separate here. We get a few of them.
Justice League Origin.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
just gonna put this out there. There's a better Justice League Origin story than the New 52 one. In fact, I'm gonna put this out there. This might be the best first issue of a Justice League book in like a decade.
Well, it's also because they're dinosaurs, Connor.
That does help, but it's fun.
Hold on, what was Scott Snyder's first Justice League issue? I'm trying to remember. Was that with the Megazord? If that was the Megazord issue, I'm going to dispute
that
you.
was the metal issue. That was
metal.
That was metal. Yeah. Okay. You might be right then, but I'm not going
to. Take this with that I say this about things that I love. This is dumb, and I love it.
I don't think
movies.
This is the Kong Skull Island of DC Comics.
Yes.
Some of this is. I mean, I enjoyed reading it. Just I'll put that on the record before I say any of this. Right. So some of the things that it does here with names is silly in a fun way, and there's one or two that I think are just silly in a stupid way that don't work. what was it, Growltham City, I thought was stupid and just didn't work.
Love it.
However, Black Mantisaurus
It's the best one by far.
I enjoyed that quite a bit. So
the Metropolis, that was pretty good.
Yeah, yeah. So some of the names and stuff, like they were entertaining. Like, I'm not going to.
Yeah, look, I know there might be. I don't understand the going with the Amazons by calling them the Dons when they're not Pteranodons, they're not Hadrosaurs. There's no. I don't get it. Maybe it'll be revealed.
I was under the impression when they said that they meant all dinosaurs rather than them specifically.
Okay. But I thought they were referring to her as the,
Oh, also Brontosaurus. I like that.
That's a good one.
That is a good one. Honestly, I like Super Soul. I know it's simple, but
yeah, it's super super. It's simple and it works. Yeah, there's a lot going on there. The Allosaurus Batman German suplex the Joker dinosaur. And I just
Jokerzard.
Jokerzard, yes.
So yeah.
Yeah.
Well, this book is dumb and I love it. That said, there's a lot of weird things going on, and I just need to see how they play out.
I love pretty much everything. This has one of the best uses of sound effects in any comic I've read in years, and it's when Batsaw, is that what it's called? Are we just going with Batsaw? He throws the batarang, and it's as it's spinning, the spinning effect that you usually get, like the speed lines that do that, is the sound effect. So it just says like flap, flap, flap over and over as that. I think that's
also
just fantastic.
The batarang is made out of rock because we're in dinosaur period, which I thought was funny.
And he's found a little robin.
It's very Flintstones, I suppose, as what I'd say. Yeah, I mean, like the first page is whatever, right? It's just doing the egg lands, like it's
it's a Superman origin.
Yeah, and it is cave people who are raised super sore, so that's the thing.
Again, actual scientific problem that dinosaurs and man.
You're complaining about scientific accuracy in this book?
I'm just gonna say it's not the Flintstones. So
I got real Jungle Book vibes.
Yeah.
From this.
I mean,
Superman is Mowgli in this series.
Normally I would complain that the Joker's the one who killed Batman's parents, but I was going to let it go in this one because it didn't really seem like a big deal in the grand scheme of things. And you're sitting here complaining that humans and dinosaurs exist at the same time?
Yeah, because in our current climate where people deny science, I want to put it out there.
Okay, but on that same level, half of these dinosaur species didn't exist at the same time.
Right. And
which is a problem with I suppose that's a problem with Jurassic Park in the sense that they bring them all back anyway, so whatever. But
fun fact, we live closer to Tyrannosaurus than Tyrannosaurus lived to Stegosaurus. They never encountered. So
yeah, that's like one of those ones where Cleopatra is closer to us than to the building of the pyramids.
Right. So I love going out there with things that, because people, I don't trust them when it comes to science anymore, right? I know this is a comic book.
It's a very stupid comic book that we can just switch our brains off and have fun with, please.
But I had to put in there about the humans, and I did the same thing with Marvel 1 billion when Jason Aaron threw in humans.
How dare he?
Right. So
actually, that's more egregious because at least that's like pretending to be the history.
Yes.
Of the MCU, whereas
this is not at all
the Marvel Universe. Whereas this is just screw it. We're telling a stupid story of an alternate world.
Yeah. Also, the dinosaurs talking are anthropomorphic, so that's also
there
is that too.
There's a lot of Theodore Rex going on in here.
Yes.
Congratulations, people at home, if you got that reference. Yeah, the first 2-page spread of Batsaur just sort of leaping. The head in particular, the snout, is it gave me like proper old like Saturday morning cartoons kind of vibe to it, which I kind of dig.
Yeah, he's also doing the Dark Knight Returns kind of pose.
Oh, kind of, yeah. But yeah, he's hunting down the killer. Turns out, I mean, no surprise, it's a Joker. It's
And he arranged the human bodies into a tree form,
Mhm.
which is super ghastly. So you got to know that the Joker's art ain't playing around.
Yeah. So
And it's probably a form of Dilophosaurus by the way that he spits acid instead of, which I also love because the Joker.
It's a nice spin on the poison flower, isn't it?
Yeah. So I like that.
So he has to be. He burns the tree. He's got this new little cave kid who's just lost his parents, so now he's Robin. So
he yells at him to go away.
Yeah. We cut to Black Mantisaurus attacking some villagers, and out comes. Did the Aquasaurus get a name?
I don't believe so.
No.
What is it?
I know his dolphin's called Matilda because I noticed that.
Yeah, and of course he's kind of seahorse looking. Aquasaur.
Yeah.
Aquasaur. I don't know what you call him. Anyway, so he faced Black Mantisaurus a bit. But basically, the main cusp here is that when we go to Themyscira and we get Triceratops Diana, like she's basically been having dreams of the Justice League without her so much, but we get a glimpse. So we've not been introduced to Green Lantern or Flash dinos yet.
They're in there. They're coming.
Yeah,
they're in
coming.
there. Yeah. So I do like that each of them are different, right? Like I don't know what the Aquasaurus is, and he doesn't get a name. I thought maybe he did. But yeah, and that, it looks like the Green Lantern one is a Hadrosaur. I can't tell what the Flash is, but it looks something that's.
They've definitely just made it a Velociraptor, haven't they?
Probably.
You would.
Yeah,
right. I mean,
but
it's in the name.
he's completely red. But Hippolyta or whatever we're calling the dino version of Hippolyta.
I do love that it's the the Triceratops, but it's Trimascara.
Yes.
I love that too.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, they've got like an Ares dino skeleton sort of like strung up underground, right, which they've been guarding. It's like, hey, yeah, you can go to the world, Diana, and she becomes Wonder Dawn, which is a hell of a page as well. She flies off on a pterodactyl to go and interact.
Unfortunately, not invisible.
No,
I was like, how are they going to make it invisible? But none of that. Also, can we talk about the chosen weapons of the Triceratops are bones of other dinosaurs? That's metal as hell.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it kind of is.
So that where we go to Super Saur. He's helping build he's building houses, but they all look like Fortress of Solitudes made out of logs, which I thought was quite funny.
I really liked that touch, though.
Yeah.
That crisscrossy fortress triangle style.
Yeah, so
he's more powerful than Tyrannosaurus.
I love that.
Yeah, but yeah, I mean, they hear a big boom. Super Saur rushes off, and the cliffhanger page is Giganta and Brontozaro are there to cause chaos and havoc, and that's right. So there's not really a lot of plot in this issue. It is mainly just let's introduce like 3 or 4 characters in their environments, and let's all laugh at their dinosaur names. And so
all I'm saying is, I need a season 2 of this book already. I need it greenlit right away, please, DC.
So I also love that how they play Super Saur, that he lives amongst the humans, even though he's not one, right? Like the whole he can't blend in though.
He's very Jungle Book. It's very Mowgli.
Yeah. So I do like that they kept that spirit of the Superman character, that even though he's different, you can tell he's different, he's still more at home with the humans.
One of them still, yeah.
Yeah, and I like that. Would have liked a longer neck, considering he's a Brontosaurus, but when you have the Joker one taking on a bunch of different aspects of different dinosaurs,
Yeah, just let it slide.
Yeah. So.
And deep down, Matt's still like, but humans are with dinosaurs, and that's not right.
You're not wrong.
Matt, this is your cross to bear.
It is. I mean, they could have made them proto-humans at least, or lemurs like in Disney's Dinosaur. I'm just saying, make them mammals of some kind. Also, them not making the Aquasaurus, an aqua dinosaur, feels like a missed, Parasaurolophus or a Baryonyx.
I don't know, but isn't that kind of the whole point, that he's not, with Aquaman, that he's not really one of them? in a lot of ways.
I mean, he's at least half of it. I just would have liked seeing an aquatic type. You know, maybe or an amphibious dinosaur of some kind. Sarcosuchus, like a giant crocodile. I don't know. I just really love dinosaurs.
Like amphibian head.
Yeah, he does. So we'll find out. But yeah, I like that each of the ones are. You know, I was hoping that they were going to kind of keep it that, you know, the Batman or the Batsaur, he's an Allosaurus, which is, you know, a carnivore, and that, you know, he would be the only carnivore on this Dinosaur Justice League, being that, you know, he's kind of like I always like the thing how they describe Batman. He's a villain or he's a hero that fights the villains on, you know, their own terms, right? He has very kind of villain
So you feel like him
tendencies.
being closer to the more villainous dinosaurs.
Right.
Okay, I get you.
But right, then you see the Aquasaurus is, you know, has teeth, and then clearly that's a raptor as the Flash, so they're not going with that track. But it would have been cool to keep that going. But the fact that that's what, you know, Superman is, like, not a Tyrannosaurus, he's a Brontosaurus or a Brachiosaur. Brontosaurus didn't exist.
All right, we get it. You're a dinosaur nerd, Matt. We've
you know,
we've sussed that out.
Just the dinosaurs.
Who doesn't?
Dinosaurs are cool. And then I'm finding out they're finding new dinosaurs every year. My dad told me not to be a paleontologist because they'd be all dug up by the time I'm done with school. He didn't know anything. He doesn't want to pay for paleontology school, probably because it's expensive to train you to go dig at the dirt, which I would do for free. Tell you what, if I was a paleontologist, I would not be on the show right now. So y'all should be thanking my dad.
Or you would be, and you'd be giving us even more dinosaur nonsense than you are right now.
No, it would be.
I would be insufferable.
It would be the exact same. There'd just be there'd be a couple of dinosaur skulls behind them in the background. That'd be the only difference.
Now I want. Oh man.
He's gonna get one. He's gonna put a little bat cowl on one of them as well.
Yeah.
I wasn't going to, but now I feel like I have to. Especially the Allosaurus, because it has the little. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, and the art's really good. This is the other thing about the book.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It really fits the tone of the book because it does feel like a pulpy, you know, almost like the heavy metal.
It's got a lot more detail than I think I would do. Like when I think of pulpy art, I don't necessarily think as detailed as this. This has got a very kind of, you know, this is not flat shapes and objects. There's a lot of, you know, he's not afraid to draw some bumps and some stockiness to the characters, and
there's a lot of really strong, thick lines that make it feel really defined and give it that more pulpy feel. And really bold colors.
Like I said, it feels like an old school Saturday morning cartoon to me. Like I feel like I'm watching.
Yeah. You feel the heft of each of the characters.
Yeah. So,
you know?
Yeah. So that's really good stuff. All right, Matt, what are you giving Jurassic League?
8.5. It's dumb and I love it.
Connor?
Yeah, this is stupid hype, but I have literally nothing bad to say about it because I love everything it does. But so I'm gonna give it a 9. I'm not gonna go up to the 10 because it doesn't have that extra, just that extra quality that you know that you can't really define. But I did love everything it did.
Yeah, I was gonna go straight 8. I really liked it. Really liked it. I'm actually because part of me was going into this thinking this is a really funny concept, but I'm half expecting this to just be kind of mediocre and then Matt to be really disappointed. But it actually ended up being really fun. And
all I'm saying is this put a lot of pressure on the Mecha Justice League.
Oh yeah, that Mecha book now's got a lot to live up to.
Yeah.
So
I was not excited for that one because it's not dinosaurs, but I can tell you what's not in that book, and that's dinosaurs living with humans. So
how do you know, Matt? You've not read it yet.
True.
Maybe it's set in the same continuity as this, and that's the future of this world. And this is the revered original Justice League. That's the mechs that are replicating.
Right.
All right, there you go. That's Jurassic League issue 1. The Sandman universe, Nightmare Country issue 2. Connor read this one. I
did. Tynion Fourth writing, Lisandro Estherren, and Andrea Sorrentino on art, which was a surprise. Sorrentino doing the nightmare sequence. Say nightmares, it's just in the dreaming, but they were describing them as nightmare sequences, but it was a surprise. I wasn't expecting it because this was solicited as Christian Ward. do I also like and was looking forward to. But I'm never going to be disappointed by 4 pages of Sorrentino art in the middle of my comic. That's like always a plus. But yeah, no, this issue, it picks up with the Corinthian going to see Flynn, kind of looking at her paintings and of the smiling man and questioning and trying to learn who this is, because it becomes clear that the Corinthian is not the smiling man, despite the very similar shared features with the like the teeth eyes, for example. So they have a conversation. They go out for a meal, and then they sit down, and he just, at first she's just bugging him like, do the eyes work? Can you see out of them? He's like, yeah. She's like, but how? He's like, because they're eyes. He's like, but they're mouths. He's like, yeah, but they're my eyes, so I see out of them. So just don't question it so much. It's dream logic. If she goes along with it, and he's realizing that, okay, she sees this smiling man not necessarily when she's dreaming, but also when she's awake. Like she mentioned walking down a hallway or in the subway or in an empty street at night, and that other people have seen him as well. But the meeting is interrupted because Lucian shows up from the dream and grabs the Corinthian and is like, right, come on, back we go. And this is where we cut into the dreaming section of like, come on, you're not allowed out there. But there's a little sequence about the library, and Lucian is the librarian, so this makes sense here.
So I was going to ask you who
he's
Lucian
the librarian
is.
in the dreaming. He's kind of a recurring Sandman character.
Gotcha.
It's the sort of thing where in this book you wouldn't be questioning it too much. It kind of works in context, but he's a recurring character. But the library is in this this particular library. It's every book that's never written. So they describe all the books that you think about, maybe I'll write that. You have an idea for a story, but you never get around to making. They're all in this library, and they're not fully formed. They kind of are just those ideas and feelings that are kind of then transcribed onto the pages here. But in it, he finds other books. He gets Lucian to do some cross-referencing, and it is like books about the Smiling Man by people who have never been visited by the Corinthian, or who hadn't heard of the Corinthian from someone else. So it was definitely like, okay, there's no way they could have been dreaming about him. So this Smiling Man is something else. And they found, I think, 14 of these, and most of them have died pretty horrifically in the last 6 weeks, which was obviously we saw some of teased at the end of the last issue with those two figures, the like the doll face kind of guy and the big lurch guy. And that's kind of basically the end of this issue is Flynn going home, and all her paintings in her apartment are on fire. And
I like to
she's trying
think
to put it out.
There's an entire wing in this library devoted to Matt, and I'm just imagining a big section of just books about bears,
Books about dinosaurs.
books about axes, books about ice hockey, and then of course there's going to be some crossover sections where bears with axes, dinosaurs with bears, dinosaurs on ice.
Yeah,
bears on ice.
that makes sense. Like Flynn here has like a whole shelf of books just about the Smiling Man. So yeah, there's definitely Matt definitely has a wing in there.
Have you guys not seen the video of the Bears playing hockey? I'm not making it up. Do yourself a favor. Google Bears playing hockey, and it is fantastic.
I am going to as soon as we finish this.
Yeah,
because that sounds amazing. But
let's just say you don't want to drop the gloves with the bear, right? Just
you will lose.
Yeah, just take the penalty.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. Just the end of this issue is them the two showing up in her apartment and being like, "Yeah, we'd like to have a word," and the word is run. And they're just standing there ominously, and it's very creepy while her apartment is kind of burning around her. Or the paintings specifically, but it has the effect of looking like the apartment's on fire. And maybe it'll spread, I don't know. But Very strong issue.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go pick this up because I really enjoyed the first. Didn't realize this one was out.
Yeah,
So.
it was a super quick read as well because it is basically the three sections. You got the first section, which is Corinthian and Flynn. You've got Lucian and Corinthian, and then you've just got this little kind of few pages with Flynn at the end. But it's got such great atmosphere. Art's fantastic from both artists. Yeah, I'm really excited to see what the rest of this book and where it goes. And I really like the way that the dreaming sequences from Sorrentino, they kind of they play in. Well, this one's Sorrentino. Last time it was the story about that guy in the cabin, seeing the Corinthian. This time, Sorrentino he did his stuff is drawing one of the stories from one of the books like of what the Corinthian did, or like a different version of the Corinthian, because that is something that's in Sandman history. Was when Dream captured the Corinthian, he basically destroyed him and then remade him as he was supposed to be, so he's slightly less evil and more just doing his job again.
And so I've never read any of these, but it just seems like what we know about Tynion and the idea that nightmares aren't bad, they're just a part of life. And It feels like that's the Corinthian in this form.
Yes, the Corinthian as it's supposed to be here is definitely something that is healthy. I guess he's not sinister. He's not sinister or evil in the same way that he was when he was first introduced. He kind of gone rogue when he was first introduced.
Right.
But this version of him is more just, no, this is what it's supposed to be like. People have nightmares. This is kind of the boogeyman that haunts your nightmares. But that's not in, he's doing
He's doing his job, right?
Kind of Wreck-It Ralph, maybe, if you want to go.
Right. That's what I'm saying. He's kind of like a chaotic neutral, right?
Yeah.
He plays by his rules, but he's not, he's not aligned.
We would see him as a bad thing,
right?
Because we would be scared of him. But that is something that we need nightmares to balance out the dreams. Is kind of the idea,
right?
The stuff, it's really interesting. I really like the way these nightmare sequences are tying in with the themes of each issue, and they continue with all the stellar guest artists. It's a.
You had me at Sorrentino. Like I heard Sorrentino doing this.
Like I say, it's only like 4 pages, but I think it was the same last time. But it works as these interludes because they are like so different. And Sorrentino brings his crazy layouts. There's a double-page spread from him with it's like an open book with like all these fragments of the story popping out of this book, and it's so good. Yeah, I give this like an 8.5.
All right, cool. That'll take us out of the part of the show where we pick our favorite stuff of the week, favorite panel / moment, favorite cover, favorite art, and rank the top 5 books. And I read exactly 5, so don't have to do too much thinking there. But we'll start with panel / moment. Matt, what do you have?
So there's as for moments, Hawkant talking to Bruce about Alfred. It's pretty good. Most of that urban legend story of Ace the Bat Hound with Mark Russell has a lot of them, but it's me, and I'm going to be self-parody. So it's going to be the Bat Source German suplexing the Joker's Ard.
I did laugh at the German suplex. Yes, that did pop me. I have to admit.
He took him to Suplex City. But yeah, just come on. Literally could have been 14 other things from that from Jurassic League 2, but that's the one that sticks out the most.
Yeah. Connor?
Also from Jurassic League. I'm gonna go with the Batarang being thrown with the sound effects. I love that.
Yeah, borderline controversial given what it's right next to, but I'm going to go with Superman and go with him talking to Bendix through the fire guy. It'd be like, no, I know it's you that's in there, and I know you can hear me. That was a sort of powerful character moment, I thought. So I'm going to go with that. All right, cover of the week. I actually had a fairly easy choice. I'm going with one of the Batgirls variants. I'm going with the Audrey Mock cover. which is a cast on top of a bus, but the colors are just beautiful.
It's the AAPI one, yeah.
Yeah. It's just beautiful colors. You got the pinks and the yellows kind of contrasting.
I like the fight
nice.
going on in the reflection.
Yeah. So it's just neat stuff. Really, really good. So, Car?
Yeah, it comes down to either that or just the Jurassic League main cover. I think I'm going to go with the Batgirls one. I think it has just that extra little flair to it. But yeah, very good. I mean, the Nightmare Country regular cover as well is pretty good.
Yeah. Matt?
So the Jurassic League one's pretty good too. I was looking around. There's a Dan Mora Superman, Son of Kal-El variant. It's got Lex and Mercy, with John, and it just looks great. So that's gonna be mine.
Okay. I don't think I saw that one.
It's a solid cover, but I think it lacks flair. It's very well drawn, as you.
Yeah, I like the composition of it because it feels menacing, and judging from where that book's going, it feels like the worst is yet to come.
Oh, sure. All right, so art of the week then, Connor. What you got?
Ooh,
do it.
It's a real toss-up between Jurassic League and Sandman Universe, if I'm honest. I might edge it to Sandman Universe, like the Nightmare Country. I think, just about. I think Estherren's very, very good and would have been in contention alone. And then I think Sorrentino's pages just push it over the edge for me. Yeah, just about.
Matt's just do it. Matt, what's yours?
Well, I figured Connor would at least have Jurassic League, and because I was gonna go with Naomi, because we all know, but Jurassic League needs to be represented, and I'm gonna be the one that does it. So
yeah, so I am gonna go with Naomi. So there you go. Wise choice all around.
My dogs are even upset by that.
Yeah. All right. Top 5 books of the week then, Matt. Take us away.
1, Jurassic League. 2, Naomi. 3, Urban Legends. 4, Superman, Son of Kal-El. 5, Wonder Woman.
All right, Car.
Yeah, Jurassic League, then Nightmare Country, like easily, and then they are kind of head and shoulders above Superman and then Wonder Woman, which were both not bad issues by any means, but there was a big chasm between those two, which were like all right to good, between the other two, which I thought were great to fantastic.
Yeah, my number 1 is probably Jurassic League. Number 2 would be Superman. 3, Naomi. 4, Batgirls, and 5, Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman, of course, just having that first half that just kind of stopped it from being a full issue for me, if that makes sense. But so there you go. That is that. I will tell you what's coming next week from DC Comics. So a very similar size week when I had a glance earlier. We got The Flash 782. We have Batman Superman World's Finest issue 3, Batman the Night issue 5, Catwoman 43, Nightwing 92, Shadow Warzone issue 1, Fables issue 151, Wonder Woman Evolution issue 7, Earth Prime 4, Stargirl, and Looney Tunes 266 to round out the week. It's a quieter week overall for publishing, but in terms of how many we talk about, it's about the same as this week. So very similar.
Who is this on the cover of Fables?
That is your not Robin Hood.
Okay.
Yeah, we did talk about this when we saw the cover in the solicits, and you were very intrigued.
Yeah. Who is this?
Yeah. Also, it's a little bit of a shame none of us are reading Catwoman, just because that cover won't be in contention next week, because that cover is fantastic. But
it's very 70s.
That's all right.
I like it.
I love that. It's such a good cover.
It went not one for me. So if that makes you feel any better.
That's because you got no taste. It's fine.
I got plenty of taste.
Are the cats wearing skates? I'm gonna look.
I don't think so.
I'm not looking at it right now, so
they should be.
They're not.
I closed it already.
They're not. Dang it.
Selena wouldn't be cruel to the cats like that. That would be cruel.
I don't think it'd be cruel. I think it'd be hilarious. All four legs going in different directions. Little tiny.
The cat won't see it that way. I'm willing to bet you. So there you go. That's what's coming next week. I will take this time to thank our Patreon producers for the month. So, that stupid face in the way. There we go. Thank you very much to Tyler Hess, Cindy Palacios, David Sharp, Board Now, Christopher Moy, David Brown, Al Tradesman, and Alison M4 Dice. That is our Patreon producers for the month. You can support us over at patreon.com/MailFuzzTV for as little as $1 per month. The producer tier is obviously one of the higher ones. The $5 tier is also worth mentioning because that's the one where you get early access to the show. You get it whenever it's ready on the Saturday night, rather than the Sunday. So you get a little bit early. If nothing else, it'll be there for you when you wake up on the Sunday morning. Early access. So go and have a look and see if you want to support the show and all the content and keep it going with that. You can also get us on Twitter at DC Comics Podcast, where you can share us around using that as well. So do any and all those things. They're all very helpful and useful. Thank you kindly. And I guess that pretty much wraps up the show.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have a final thing, even though I feel like I should. I feel like I want to make fun of Connor one last time, but I can't quite.
Do it.
Go for it.
I don't know. It's hard to do it on the spot. Like, I need a lead in of some kind, like a subject, or Connor says something that's easy to.
Really? You just pull out some ginger insult usually.
What if he went super personal?
You think he hasn't done that already?
Yeah, I don't know.
Like what?
I don't know.
Yeah, so there you go. I guess that wraps up the show. As episode 305, what an epic journey it was, as Matt's dogs are there to ring us out. But yes,
See, now I'm just thinking a cat dog.
Yeah, barking a squeak or barking a.
I
don't remember the rest of the words. I didn't watch that show. Like Connor did.
I think I saw a couple of times. I wasn't a big avid watcher.
I just remember my dad asking my younger brother, "How do they use the bathroom?"
Great difficulty.
And my brother goes, "They don't." He was like 6. It was great. It's like that Grant Morrison quote where kids don't question things; they just know, right? And you don't have to explain why the crab's talking Little Mermaid. Kids are like, "Oh, cool, a talking crab."
I don't know. It sounds very similar to your question about why are the humans and the dinosaurs together.
I was just going to say that. Grant Morrison would be disappointed in you, Matt.
I feel Grant Morrison's been disappointed in me, but for far greater things than that.
All right, that's the show, everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. Hopefully you had a good time, and we will see you next week for episode 306. So thank you once again. Keep reading DC Comics, and remember to never get lost in the Speed Force.